Chapter 789. Time flew by. 2 years passed by again. In these 2 years, Tsing Hui lived peacefully in the void battlefield. From time to time, he would patrol outside. When he sensed that a small number of divine true body experts were alone, he would immediately go forward and use the power of the ancient god realm to kill them. Occasionally, he would transform into the divine beast Kunpeng and go out to hunt. Under such circumstances, in these 2 years, Tsing Hui alone killed 29 divine true body experts in the Blood Jade Fort. In addition, 6 of them were killed by divine true body experts in the fort. It could be said to be a heavy loss. Later on, in order to fish out Tsing Hui, Marquis Blood Jade ordered 2 of the vice fort lords of the Blood Jade Fort to hide in the patrol team, hoping to fish him out and kill him. However, Tsing Hui had 2 immortal techniques, roaming spirit control technique, and aura observation technique. The vice fort lord hiding in the patrol team was like a torch in the darkness, so conspicuous that Tsing Hui easily avoided him every time. One time, Tsing Hui even beat him at his own game, summoning several fort lords of the Griffin Fort to surround and kill the vice fort lord of the Blood Jade Fort, almost killing him in one fell swoop. Although the vice fort lord escaped with his life, he was seriously injured and had to withdraw from the void battlefield. While the vice fort lord was retreating, the Griffin Fort advanced on a large scale and defeated the Blood Jade Fort, driving them out of the void and advancing 20,000 kilometers. If it were not for the experts of the Crimson Cloud Fort and the Blazing Sun Fort coming to support at the critical moment, the entire Blood Jade Fort would have been completely destroyed. In that battle, Tsing Hui's performance was conspicuous. He displayed the power of the ancient sword technique and killed 3 divine true body experts. In addition to the 4 divine true body experts he had killed earlier, he could be said to have made great contributions. Relying on these military contributions, he once again exchanged for a large amount of azure wood essence and crystal wood essence, causing the number of wood spirits in his personal space to reach an astonishing 84. The significant effect brought about by the 84 wood spirits was that the growth cycle of the dragonization fruit tree was shortened again to 2 years. The second round of dragonization fruit has ripened again. Tsing Hui looked at the new fruits on the dragonization fruit tree and was in a good mood. Although buying the wood spirit queen had cost him 1,400 Daoist rhymes worth of Daoist rhymes, which was even more expensive than a portion of the root, these Daoist rhymes were definitely worth it. Not to mention the thriving tree of life, just the endless nurturing of the wood spirits, as well as the second batch of dragonization fruit trees under the care of the wood spirits, were enough to help him recoup his investment of 1,400 years of Daos. If not for these dragonization fruits, it would have been a pipe dream for him to possess combat strength that was not inferior to the divine true form in just a few short years. Without the combat strength of the divine true form, it was naturally impossible for him to use the blossoming flower to refine so many Daoist fruits in such a short time. Without the Daoist fruits, his mental strength would not have been able to reach the astonishing value of 173 steps in such a short time. At present, due to the collapse of the Blood Jade Fortress, a small area of turmoil has appeared on the battlefield, causing the probability of transversal realm experts taking action to greatly increase. It will not be easy for me to silently hunt down divine true form experts like before. In addition, I have already been in the True Sun Great World for a whole 5 years, leaving me with only 5 or 6 years left. I have to use these 5 or 6 years to raise my cultivation to the level where I can contend against a peak world creation expert. Only then will I be able to safely return to the divine wilderness Great World. Therefore, after refining these dragonization fruits and strengthening my physique to the level where I can withstand the power of an 18-step Kunpeng, I have to do something drastic. Tsing Hui pondered, then plucked the dragonization fruits one by one and began to refine them. Just as Tsing Hui began to refine the second round of dragonization fruits, far away in a luxurious mansion in the capital of the Scarlet Sun Empire, a haggard middle-aged man in a black robe was carefully standing in front of a man dressed like a young master, with a humble look on his face. The man dressed like a young master had a calm expression on his face. As he tasted the precious nourishing spirit tea, he asked faintly, I remember that your Taoist name is Black Lotus? I heard that you have an important piece of news to report to me, and it has a wide range of connections. I wonder what it is. The man in front of him was only at the domain realm. As the son of King Huifan, Zhuo Qingtian naturally did not take him seriously. Not to mention that he had become the son of a king under the guidance of his father, and had condensed the divine true form at a young age, and had a chance of being conferred the title of king in the future. Among his subordinates, there were hundreds of void-shattering experts, and more than a dozen divine true form experts. A domain realm cultivator like the man in front of him was at most an ordinary guard in the king's mansion, or even at the level of a servant. Crown Prince. I'm afraid it's not appropriate for too many people to know about this. When the man called Black Lotus said this, he glanced at the guards and servants beside him. Zhuo Qingtian immediately understood what he meant and gave him some face. He waved his hand, and immediately, the guards and servants retreated, closed the door, and activated the outer array. All right, now that there's no one here, you can speak. Black Lotus gritted his teeth and said, I know. During this period, the royal family has been offering a reward for the intruder who broke into Tongtian Valley 5 years ago. I know his identity, and I know where he is. Ha! When Zhuo Qingtian heard this, a ray of light shot out from his eyes. The intruder in Tongtian Valley? Do you know why we offered a reward for that intruder? Do you know his identity? I know. Black Lotus nodded heavily, and at the same time, he took a risk and said, the intruder's identity is related to the Divine Wilderness Great World. As soon as he mentioned the Divine Wilderness Great World, Zhuo Qingtian's figure flashed and appeared beside Black Lotus. Black Lotus was so frightened that he trembled and retreated. Zhuo Qingtian also realized that he had lost his composure. He adjusted his thoughts slightly and chuckled, good, good. Black Lotus, if you can really bring such important information to our blazing mansion, our mansion will definitely reward you handsomely. We will also provide you with resources to cultivate to the verdantness realm and confer you the title of Marquis of the Empire. Now, tell me, where is the intruder? How much do you know, and what is your identity? Resources to cultivate to the Vermilion realm. Confer you the title of Marquis. Black Lotus took in a deep breath. He had been in the Qiang Empire for a few years, and naturally, he knew what the Vermilion realm was in the true Sun Great World. When one reached the Vermilion realm, not only could he rely on his own strength to cross the void, he would also be an elder or a supreme elder in any force. He would be able to enjoy all kinds of glory and wealth. As for the title of Marquis in the Qiang Empire, it was even more amazing. In the entire Qiang Empire, only the divine true body experts who had made great contributions could be bestowed the title of Marquis. There might not even be 1 in 10 who could be bestowed the title of Marquis. Furthermore, with the protection of the Empire's aristocratic parliament, any aristocrat had a sacred position in the Empire. If he was conferred the title of Marquis, even the vacuum-shattering experts would try to curry favor with him. When he had the identity and resources, he would not have to worry about not being able to become a person above the people in the Qiang Empire in a short time. Thinking of this, Black Lotus had already made a decision, since air is so nimble, I will naturally not disappoint air. Clear Sky Valley hides the secret of the Divine Wilderness Great World, and the reason why air and even His Highness have guarded it so closely is because they want to enter the Divine Wilderness Great World through the transmission array. As for why air wants to know the most, why I know all this, Black Lotus looked up at Zhuo Qingtian, the young master of Duke Qing's family, and said cautiously, that is because, in addition to my identity as a guard of Duke Qing's mansion, I have another identity, Black Lotus Shakyamuni of Black Flame Sect, a top force in the Divine Wilderness Great World. No, it should be called an ordinary elder of the Hunyuan Sword Sect. You are from the Divine Wilderness Great World? Zhuo Qingtian suddenly understood something. Although he had not completely confirmed Black Lotus's words, he did not show the slightest bit of surprise. But according to the information we have received, there are no decent experts in the divine wilderness great world. How could there be such a powerful divine beast Kunpeng? Moreover, that divine beast Kunpeng was transformed by a top expert of the divine wilderness great world using the transformation technique? Your Highness has sharp eyes. That divine beast Kunpeng was indeed transformed by Tsing Hui, the supreme elder of the Hunyuan sword sect in the divine wilderness great world, using the transformation technique. Black Lotus nodded and said without reservation, originally, the divine wilderness great world was still dominated by the eternal great world, the divine wilderness great world, and the heavenly way. But more than 10 years ago, Tsing Hui suddenly rose to prominence. With the help of the divine beast Kunpeng, he successively suppressed the heavenly way, the eternal great world, and the divine wilderness great world. He also integrated our Black Flame sect, the Heaven Vault sect, the Rainbow Sword sect, the Sword Shadow sect, and other forces into one and formed the Hunyuan sword sect, which became the largest force in the divine wilderness great world. However, because the divine wilderness great world was facing the threat of the heaven great world behind the heavenly way, in order to solve this threat, he had to take the risk to come to the true sun great world. He wanted to use the cultivation environment of the true sun great world to break through to the realm of traversing early, or even the realm level with a thought. Then, he returned to the divine wilderness great world and completely removed the threat of the heaven great world behind the heavenly way. Oh! Hearing this, Zhuo Qingtian immediately said, "So, now tell me, where is Tsing Hui? How can we find him? In addition, do we have a way to teleport to the divine wilderness great world?" To teleport to the divine wilderness great world, we need the cooperation of the people in the divine wilderness great world. Only Tsing Hui has a way to make the people in the divine wilderness great world cooperate to restart the teleportation formation. As for finding the location of Tsing Hui, Black Lotus paused when he said this. Zhuo Qingtian suddenly understood the reason and said without hesitation, "I will take you to see my father." With the influence of our palace, the order to confer the title of Marquis will be issued in less than 3 days. Chapter 790. 3 days. Black Lotus's face suddenly lit up with joy. Over the past few years, although he had brought Tao-carrying items from the divine wilderness great world, due to the scarcity of them and the fact that he had not planned and used them properly, he had only managed to break through to the peak of the domain realm from the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth realm after spending nearly 100 Tao-carrying items. With this kind of cultivation, he could live a comfortable life in a small place, but in the capital of the Qiyang Empire, he could only be said to be an ordinary person. Although he was ordinary, after seeing the prosperity of the imperial and imperial capitals of the true sun great world, how could he be willing to be an ordinary person for the rest of his life? After witnessing with his own eyes the scenes of the big shots indulging in a life of luxury and having servants as many as the clouds, his mind instantly became restless. Especially when he learned that the Qiyang Empire had offered a marquis title and a place to cultivate to the Vermilion Realm in order to reward information about the invaders of the sky-penetrating valley, he could not stop thinking about it. Would this be equivalent to betraying Tsing Hui and the divine wilderness great world? That was not something he needed to consider at all. After living in the true sun great world for a while and being able to have a vast future here, how could he be willing to return to the divine wilderness great world that was destined to have no future? As long as he could live a comfortable life here, the life and death of the divine wilderness great world had nothing to do with him. This was also the reason why he secretly came to see Duke Huofan's son, Zhuo Qingtian. Under Zhuo Qingtian's lead, he soon saw Duke Huofan with his own eyes. King Huofan carefully observed Shakyamuni for a while. He felt that Shakyamuni's soul aura was a bit strange. It was very likely that Shakyamuni had a way to escape, but he didn't directly capture him and interrogate him. After all, to him, a marquis title and a place to cultivate to the Vermilion Realm were precious, but they could not be compared to the entire divine wilderness great world. For thousands of years, the true sun great world, the heaven great world, and even the surrounding great worlds had enjoyed the benefits of the divine wilderness great world. In the face of an opportunity to open such a great world, they would not easily let it go. Under the efforts of Lord Hunyuan, the title was conferred in less than 3 days. Soon, Black Lotus, who was just an ordinary guard in the mansion, became a new noble marquis in the circle of nobles of the empire. His status had undergone a tremendous change. Your marquis title has been recognized by the empire and you have entered the aristocratic parliament. Even I have no right to dismiss you without sufficient reason. Moreover, you should also understand that with my status as the King of Fire, there is no need to miss the opportunity to enter the divine wilderness world for such a trivial matter. Now, you can tell me where the person called Xinghui is. Lord Hunyuan exuded a faint pressure from all over his body. Although his tone was calm, his cultivation base and identity were a great deterrent. He was not worried that Black Lotus would play any tricks. Indeed, Black Lotus did not dare to be too presumptuous in front of Lord Hunyuan. No one knew how terrifying the ability of a Vermilion Realm expert was. After getting what he was satisfied with, he did not dare to ask for more. He hurriedly said, Xinghui is now in the Blackwood city of the Zhongshuan continent. As for his address, he is in the Cloud Mountain Cave of Taoism Seeking. He lives on the Dongyang Peak, and his alias is Dongyang. Taoism Seeking, Cloud Mountain Cave. Lord Hunyuan frowned. Taoism Seeking was a little difficult to deal with. But for a Vermilion Realm expert, it was just a little difficult to deal with. It was still far from being able to make him retreat. Black Star, go investigate. Lord Hunyuan ordered. Immediately, a renegade realm powerhouse appeared. He respectfully acknowledged the order and went off to investigate. In less than a day, all the information about Xinghui was placed in front of Lord Hunyuan. King Hunyuan quickly flipped through the book. When he saw that there was someone behind Dongyang who was suspected to be able to create a world with a single thought, who was at least at the Rampage realm, and who could control the divine beast Kunpeng, he immediately believed most of it. Coupled with the fact that Dongyang had been buying all kinds of resources ever since he moved into the Cloud Mountain Cave, the total amount of resources he spent amounted to several hundred Taoist rhymes, which immediately confirmed Qing Su's identity. Other than the top figures from the divine wilderness great world, who else could take out so many Taoist rhymes at once? Black Star, is Dongyang in the Cloud Mountain Cave now? Dongyang went into seclusion to cultivate more than 2 years ago. I haven't seen him come out yet. 2 years. I'm afraid he just entered the state of cultivation. It's impossible for him to come out in such a short time. Lord Hunyuan immediately made up his mind. Regardless of whether the person with the pseudonym Dongyang came from the divine wilderness great world or not, just the fact that he spent hundreds of Tao rhymes in one go was worth investigating. Even if he got the wrong person and suspected that there was a top powerhouse behind him who could create a world with a thought, it didn't matter. As one of the top figures in the Vermilion Realm, he did not need to be cautious at all. If he wanted to do something, he would do it. Alright, you can enter my world for now. Once I verify the authenticity of your information, I'll let you out and allocate resources to you. I'll also send you instructors until you break through to the Reigning Realm and become a Reigning Realm expert. After Lord Hunyuan finished speaking, he did not care whether Black Lotus agreed or not. He directly put him into his personal space and stepped out of his palace. His body flew into the space turbulence, and after a while, he landed again, bypassing the war fortress built in the space mezzanine of Blackwood City and directly landed in Blackwood City. However, although he did not want to have a direct conflict with Blackwood City, the arrival of a Vermilion Realm expert from the Scarlet Sun Empire was like a lighthouse in the dark. No matter how he tried to keep a low profile, he was still very eye-catching. Just like a star, no matter how it moved or how it was hidden, the gravitational changes it caused could not be hidden from the detection of people who wanted to see it. Under such circumstances, when Lord Hunyuan's real body landed, the entire sky above Blackwood City was immediately filled with divine wills. Lord Hunyuan from the Scarlet Sun Empire. What is he doing in Blackwood City? I remember that the conflict between the Scarlet Sun Empire and the True Martial Empire was quite intense recently. It seems like a war is about to break out. Lord Hufen came to Blackwood City at this time. Does he want to drag us into the war? We, Blackwood City, are too lazy to care about the overlord competition between them. Powerful divine wills converged in the void and quickly reached a consensus. Lord Hufen did not care about this. Instead, he left Blackwood City at an extremely fast speed and arrived outside Cloud Mountain Cave. Facing Lord Hufen's arrival, Qi Yukong and the others were all trembling with fear. Even if Qiu Dao also had a Vermilion Realm expert behind them, they could not withstand the Vermilion Realm expert. Now that the Vermilion Realm expert was not here, if there was a conflict, these divine true bodies and vacuum-shattering realm cultivators would be sucked into the Vermilion Realm expert's world and then crushed into pieces. I did not know that Lord Hufen was coming. I did not come out to greet you. Please forgive me, Lord Hufen. As Lord Hufen arrived at Cloud Mountain Cave, the elder of Qiu Dao had to show up and greet him. At the same time, his attitude was extremely humble. Lord Hufen, what brings you here? There is a person living in Cloud Mountain Cave who broke into the forbidden area of Qiyang Empire. I am here today to bring him to justice. Lord Hufen explained faintly. He did not care whether the Vermilion Realm Elder agreed or not. He directly attacked. Suddenly, a towering giant hand that was dozens of kilometers long appeared out of thin air. It carried the vast power of space and enveloped the entire Dongyang Peak. This power contained the power of Lord Hufen's world. Even if someone wanted to use a teleportation technique to escape, it would be difficult to escape from the imprisonment. The Vermilion Realm Elder's face turned ugly. However, in the face of the overbearing Lord Hufen, he could only suppress his unwillingness. He watched as Lord Hufen was imprisoned in Dongyang Peak and stepped into Dongyang Peak. As he stepped into the Dongyang Peak, the level 15 formations on the Dongyang Peak crumbled like paper. The entire Dongyang Peak was completely exposed to him. However, when Lord Hufen looked carefully at Dongyang Peak, he frowned slightly. He's not here. In the next moment, his gaze landed on Tuoba Changkong, who had the highest cultivation base. He grabbed at the air and imprisoned Tuoba Changkong, lifting him into the void. Your Dongyang servant. Where did your master go? If you can tell me where he is, I might be able to ask Old Man Xinmo to remove the slave brand on you and give you back your freedom. When Tuoba Changkong heard this, his eyes were filled with joy. Really? How can it be fake? As Lord Hufen spoke, he grabbed at the air and an invisible force suppressed an invisible force in Tuoba Changkong's soul. Don't worry. I have already sealed the connection between you and your master. He can no longer sense your thoughts through the slave brand. In the face of an Almighty who could create a world with a thought, if he resisted, only death would await him. If he wanted to live, he had to listen to Lord Hufen and tell him where Tsing Hui was. Moreover, Lord Hufen had promised to ask Old Man Xinmo to remove the slave brand on him. This was probably his only chance to free himself from the status of a slave, so he had to seize it. There was not much loyalty between him and Qing Su to speak of in the first place. Even if there was just the slightest bit of trust, he dared not have any faith in Qing Su when faced with the pressure of a peak expert who could create a world with a single thought. He immediately made what he believed to be the right choice without any hesitation at all. I know where Dongyang has gone. If Sir King Hufen really can remove my slave brand and set me free, I can tell you where my master Dongyang has gone. Chapter 791. Well, I, Lord Hufen, will naturally keep my word. Lord Hufen turned his gaze to the unhindered elder in the Cloud Mountain Utopia. You should know where Old Man Xinmo is, right? Please tell him that Lord Hufen wants to see him and ask for a little help. I'm willing to give him 50 Dao runes worth of Dao treasures as a reward. It's just a small matter. Since Lord Hufen has asked, I naturally have to give you face. Before the unhindered expert could speak, a voice sounded from the void. Old man Xinmo. Lord Hufan's heart skipped a beat. I ask Old man Xinmo to remove the slave brand on him, and it's best not to disturb the owner of the brand. That's simple. An invisible spatial ripple swept across Taba Zhangkong's body. Taba Zhangkong immediately felt his consciousness clear, and the slave brand that controlled him dissipated. Fireburn King was a top-tier elite who could create a world with a single thought. Behind him was the top faction of True Sun Great World, the Red Sun Empire. He had countless friends. Even Old Man Heart Demon had to give face to someone who could create a world with a single thought. The brand has been removed. The owner of the brand won't be able to sense anything strange in the short term. Thank you, Old Man Xinmo. I, Lord Hufan, owe you a favor. If you don't need any help in the future, Old Man Xinmo can just tell anyone. King Hufan bowed slightly to a certain spot in the void. It's a small matter. If there is a chance in the future, we should contact each other more often. Old Man Xinmo responded with a smile. The two people's divine senses converged in the void. Because they didn't deliberately conceal it, it was captured by many people. They couldn't help but be more wary of Old Man Xinmo because he had suddenly received a favor from a top expert like Lord Hufan. Since the matter is done, I'll take my leave first. Lord Hufan said. He didn't want to irritate the nerves of many Tsangshuan continent experts, so he quickly left. He naturally couldn't be bothered to pay attention to the Eastern Sun Peak. Seeing Lord Hufan leave, the people of the Cloud Mountain Utopia naturally exchanged glances with each other. Looking at the mostly destroyed Dongyang Peak's array formation, Qi Yukong stepped forward and carefully asked the Traversing Realm's Senior Statesman, what should we do about Dongyang Peak next? The reigning Grand Elder glanced at Dongyang Peak and saw that there were still some people there. He frowned and said, let's wait and see. Dongyang is clearly doomed, but that's not necessarily the case. After all, there's a peak reigning realm expert behind Dongyang. He might even be able to create a world with a thought. He might still have a chance. Seeing this, Qi Yukong could only agree. Repair the formation of the mountain. If Dongyang comes back alive, consider it a good karma. If he dies, Dongyang Peak can be sold again. Yes. The Scarlet Sun Empire, the Flaming River Empire and the True Martial Empire were currently in a period of intense competition. A war could break out at any time. Under such circumstances, Lord Hufan naturally didn't want to excessively irritate the nerves of the neutral Tsangshuan continent. After leaving Blackwood City, he flew straight to the Scarlet Sun Empire. As he entered the spatial mezzanine and flew towards the Scarlet Sun Empire, he moved Tuoba Changkong into his small world to prevent others from hearing what he said next. Alright, you can tell me where your master, Dongyang, went. Fire King, I don't know what kind of secret technique Dongyang used to disguise himself as Zichen of the Zichen family of the true martial emperor. Even the elders of the Zichen family couldn't tell if he was real or fake. He is now in the void battleground using the identity of Zichen Gang. Zichen Gang. Lord Hufan knew a lot about the famous Zichen family of the true martial empire. If the Zichen family's grand elder was still alive, he would hesitate to make a move on them. But now. I hope what you said is true. Stay in my small world for now. If things go well, you will naturally be rewarded. Wait a moment. My lord, if you want to capture Dongyang alive, you should be careful. Dongyang's primal chaos level is extremely high, it's at least level 30. If he encounters danger, he will most likely use a teleportation technique to save his life. A teleportation technique? Primal chaos level. Lord Hufan thought of the information he received from Black Lotus. Dongyang's primal chaos level wasn't as simple as level 30, but above level 50. The small world of an expert who could create a world with a thought could render a level 1 teleportation technique useless, but if Dong Yang's teleportation technique was of a high level, he might not be able to trap Dong Yang. It seems that if I want to capture Tsing Hui alive and force out his secrets and the method to go to the divine wilderness great world, I must first prevent him from using a teleportation technique to escape. Then, I can only work on the ancient god realm. The ancient god realm belonged to the legendary ancient Lord God, and this Lord God is said to be a direct descendant of the great Master of Gods. His divine kingdom was created by the Master of Gods himself, and it interferes with the power of the Primal Chaos Master. A level 50 Primal Chaos Master, I'm afraid I will need to use 3 fragments of the ancient god realm. I have 1 fragment, and the other 2 will have to be borrowed. Lord Hufan's eyes flashed, and he flew at full speed towards the void battleground of the Scarlet Sun Empire. The void battleground was different from other places, as there were many experts who could create a world with a thought there. If Lord Hufan wanted to capture Tsing Hui, he had to do it before Tsing Hui and the other experts could react. Otherwise, if the true Martial Empire's experts who could create a world with a thought were alerted and the relationship between Tsing Hui and the divine wilderness great world was exposed, the Scarlet Sun Empire's thousands of years of operation in Tongtian Valley would be destroyed. In the war zone where Lord Dragon Sparrow was, Tsing Hui was fully focused on refining the dragonization fruit. He could feel the fruit's power continuously tempering his body and stimulating his potential. At the same time, it was pushing his life essence towards the transformation of a divine beast. However, at this moment, a sudden palpitating feeling interrupted his refining process. Tsing Hui opened his eyes. What's going on? Why do I suddenly feel a sense of danger, as if a great disaster is about to befall me? For a moment, he couldn't be bothered to refine the dragonization fruit again. He quickly activated the Supreme Immortal Technique, Reverse Future Telling. Suddenly, a broken image appeared in front of him. In the image, a powerful expert with an overwhelming aura descended from the sky and directly took him into his small world. After that, he was trapped in the ancient god world, which had been strengthened many times. In the ancient god world, he couldn't even sense the Chaos Temple. In the end, he was captured alive by the expert. Small world, this must be a top expert who could create a world with a thought. Why did this peak mighty figure suddenly attack me? And Tuoba Chongkong, what happened? Frowning, Tsing Hui had no choice but to project his consciousness into the Chaos Temple and use the channel of Daoist priest Zhou Dao to gather information. He had the identity of Daoist priest Zhou Dao, and Daoist priest Zhou Dao was a force that could do almost anything as long as one had enough Dao points. After secretly contacting a high-level member who also lived in the Cloud Mountain Cave, he asked around and immediately understood what had happened. Lord Hufan. Tsing Hui's expression changed. I'm being targeted by Lord Hufan. Why is King Hufan looking for me? Moreover, from the way he acts, it's obvious that he's coming straight for me. What went wrong? He hadn't finished refining the dragonization fruit yet. Even if he did, he definitely wouldn't be a match for a top expert who could create a world with a thought. I have to leave quickly. Tsing Hui immediately got up and was about to leave. However, even though he had made this decision, the feeling of impending disaster still didn't dissipate. It seemed like the crisis wouldn't be resolved just like that. Left with no choice, Tsing Hui once again used the Supreme Immortal Technique, Future Reversal, to deduce the specific process. As the Future Reversal was activated, the shattered images once again appeared in his mind. This time, it was another white-haired, immortal-looking top mighty figure who had set his eyes on him. This top mighty figure was a peak master who toyed with souls. He seemed to have used some special method to directly control him, turning him into his puppet. If Qing Su was knowledgeable and had worked closely with the Tao Seeker of Taoism, he would have been able to tell that this sagely old man was the old man of the heart demon who was extremely renowned in the circle of world creation. He was known to be the best at toying with souls. Lord Huifeng's unusual behavior naturally aroused the curiosity of many people. Some people were afraid of Lord Huifeng's identity. Although they had some ideas, they didn't dare to follow him to find out. However, Old Man Mental Demon, who had always appeared and disappeared mysteriously, was not among them. Moreover, the slave imprint was a backup plan for him in the first place. He had followed Qing Su, so it made sense for him to be the Oriole at the back. It was a pity that Xing Hui obviously didn't know where the problem lay. Reversing the future could allow him to see the future, but it would not explain the cause and effect of it in detail. What method did that sage-like old man use to lock onto my position and finally control me? Xing Hui frowned. If there was only one Lord Huifeng, he could just escape and abandon this battlefield. But with the addition of that mysterious and unpredictable old man, before figuring out what method the old man used to turn him into a puppet-like existence, he obviously couldn't leave the void battleground easily. At least here, he had the protection of Dragon Sparrow King, a top expert who could create a world with a thought. If he escaped, God knew what the consequences would be. After a moment of thought, Qing Su made up his mind very soon. My greatest advantage right now is my ability to read the future. I've seen through the changes in the future. The King of Fire will come to assassinate me. Then, can I use this opportunity to work with the Dragon Sparrow King and the others to deal a fatal blow to the King of Fire? Lord Huifeng is in charge of guarding Tongtian Valley. If I can severely injure or even kill him on the spot, the danger in Tongtian Valley will be greatly reduced. Thinking of this, he quickly went to the cultivation room where the Griffin Marquis was. Chapter 792. Zi Zichen was the disciple with the most potential in the Zichen family. He had obtained the inheritance of an ancient sword technique, and had already killed several experts of the divine true body at such a young age. Furthermore, his father, Chen Lai, was the current head of the Zichen family. His future was limitless. Although the Griffin Marquis was a Marquis of the Empire, he didn't dare to underestimate Zi Zichen. When he found out that Zi Zichen wanted to meet the Dragon Sparrow King, he immediately took him to the battle fortress overseen by the Dragon Sparrow King. On the way, Xing Hui had already thought about the questions he wanted to ask the Dragon Sparrow King. He had obtained the inheritance of a sword technique from the ancient cave. The Qin family, the Dragon Sparrow King, and the Griffin Marquis had all heard of this. As long as he used this reason to claim that he was targeted by King Huifeng, it was completely reasonable. It didn't matter even if his other identity as Dong Yang was exposed. Dong Yang's origins were a mystery, but hadn't Zi Zichen disappeared for a while? As for the many treasures on Dong Yang's body, that didn't count for much. Wasn't it reasonable that he had obtained the inheritance of an ancient cave's sword technique as well as many treasures? What's more, Zi Zichen's identity was his greatest guarantee. Not to mention that the true Martial Empire and the Scarlet Sun Empire were still enemies. Even if the two empires hadn't started a war, the true Martial Empire's powerhouses who could create a world with a single thought definitely wouldn't allow King Huifeng to kill the future heir of the Zichen family. This was practically the same as stepping on someone's nose. If the true Martial Empire dared to turn a blind eye to this, it would definitely cause dissension among the families and forces under its jurisdiction. With this kind of confidence, Xing Hui quickly arrived at the Dragon Sparrow King's fortress. The Dragon Sparrow King, who had a good relationship with the Zichen family's patriarch and patriarch, immediately received Xing Hui. When he saw Xing Hui, he smiled as if he was talking to a junior. Zi Zichen, I've heard reports of your achievements in the Void Battleground more than once. You're amazing. You haven't even reached the Divine True Body realm, yet you were able to kill several experts of the Divine True Body realm with just an ancient sword technique. If it wasn't for the fact that this sword technique requires a lot of physical strength, I would have asked His Majesty to spread this sword technique. At that time, any true Martial Empire's Void Shatterer realm cultivator would have the power to kill an expert of the Divine True Body realm. Even Scarlet Sun Empire and Flaming River Empire's alliance. Dragon Sparrow King, You flatter me. This is all because my other comrades cooperated well. Tsing Hui said. Time was tight, so he didn't waste any time. He said bluntly, Your Highness, I've just received news that King Huafun is quickly coming to our void battleground. His target should be related to me. He seems to want to interrogate me about the inheritance of the ancient cave mansion. If we plan this well, we might be able to deal a heavy blow to King Huafun of the Scarlet Sun Empire. King Huafun. Do you want to steal the ancient cavern from me? The Dragon Sparrow King was slightly startled. Although Tsing Hui's inheritance of the ancient cave mansion looked extraordinary, it was obviously not an orthodox cultivation system. The strength of the sword technique was actually related to the strength of the physique. For top experts like them who had cultivated one thought world, it was not very useful. However, under these circumstances, the King of Fire had actually set his sights on Qing Su. What did he want to do? The Dragon Sparrow King frowned, but he didn't have time to think about it. No matter what King Huafun's goal was, he would be the first to disagree if he dared to target someone from the true martial empire. He immediately said, Don't worry. With me here, King Huafun won't be able to do as he pleases in the void battleground. Also, you said that we should plan according to this matter. Tell me your plan. Since King Huafun is coming for me, I plan to use myself as bait to lure him in. According to the information I received, King Huafun should not know that he has been exposed. As long as Dragon Sparrow King can gather people as quickly as possible, we will definitely be able to catch him off guard. Use yourself as bait? No. The Dragon Sparrow King rejected Tsing Hui's proposal without hesitation. The ancestor of your Zichen family is old friends with me. What's more, Zichen Lai asked me to take care of you. How can I let you take the risk and get involved in a battle at the level of One Thought World? Although I can't protect myself in front of One Thought World experts, the same can't be said for the Griffin Marquis and the others. What's more, as long as King Huafun appears, I will be able to sense it and inform you immediately. There shouldn't be any danger. You can detect King Huafun's traces in advance. The Dragon Sparrow King was surprised. I obtained a secret technique in the ancient cave. It should be able to detect King Huafun's traces. Tsing Hui said confidently. The Dragon Sparrow King pondered for a moment, then confirmed again, Are you sure King Huafun will come to kill you? Don't tell me it's a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Tsing Hui thought of the fragment he saw with future reversal, and immediately vowed, I can guarantee that King Huafun will definitely come. Alright, then I'll believe you this time. With that, the Dragon Sparrow King started to send a message to the three kings nearby. I'll return to the Griffin Castle first, in case King Huafun notices that I'm not there and becomes suspicious. I'll go with you. If King Huafun can really step into our trap this time and be severely injured by us, you'll have made a great contribution. The Dragon Sparrow King said with a smile. Tsing Hui nodded slightly. Soon, the two of them arrived at the Griffin Castle. In order to ensure their safety, the Dragon Sparrow King spent a lot of effort to activate the Griffin Castle's formation, using the formation's power to conceal their aura. At the same time, the three kings he contacted also came as soon as possible while hiding their traces. Several kings formed a line, and the center point was the small Griffin Castle. Why is King Huafun targeting me? Tsing Hui frowned. Soon, he realized something. The King of Fire Incinerating was the King of Clear Sky Valley, and the area under his jurisdiction was also targeted at Clear Sky Valley, or rather, the invasion plan of the Divine Wilderness Great World. Now, the King of Fire Incinerating had come to attack him. It was most likely related to the Divine Wilderness Great World. I remember that in order to find my whereabouts, the Scarlet Sun Empire did not hesitate to promise resources to cultivate to the Traversing Realm and the title of Marquis. Could it be that someone is targeting those rewards? Tsing Hui's eyes gradually turned cold. This time, there were a total of 22 cultivators who came to the true Sun Great World from the divine wilderness Great World with him. Among these people, there were not many that he was familiar with and trusted. If some of them were too poor and chose to betray him to take the reward from the Scarlet Sun Empire, it was not impossible. I was careless. Xing Hui's heart sank. Those people know that I live in the Cloud Mountain Grotto's eastern Sun Peak, and Tuoba Changkong knows something about me transforming into Zichen's gang. This way, his identity as Zichen's gang would most likely be exposed. Without his identity as Zichen's gang, it would not be so convenient for him to collect Dao fruits in the void battlefield. King Huafun, Xing Hui quickly understood the cause and effect of the crisis. After a while, he seemed to have sensed something. He activated the spirit travel technique, and his Yuan spirit left his body. At the same time, he activated the aura observation technique. He saw a world that was tens of thousands of kilometers long, like a meteor that streaked across the vast sky, falling towards the Griffin Castle. The void mezzanine was different from the interior of the true Sun Great World. The entire void mezzanine was filled with space ripples, so the energy ripples of King Huafun flying at full speed were covered by the space ripples. Unless King Huafun was several thousand kilometers away from the Griffin Castle, no one would be able to detect him. Unfortunately, he met Xing Hui, who had the aura observation technique. Lord Dragon Sparrow King, King Huafun has arrived. He is 39,000 kilometers to the east. Xing Hui immediately sent out the news. He's here. That's fast. However, our true martial empires Black Dragon King, Thunder Knight King, and White Fox King are not slow either. Let's meet this King Huafun. When Dragon Sparrow King received the news, he sensed it carefully. As expected, he sensed an abnormal fluctuation coming from 39,000 kilometers away. He immediately got up and headed towards King Huafun. In Xing Hui's aura observation technique, he sensed that there were 3 other experts who had reached the level of world creation with a thought coming from 3 other directions. They were like stars that were rotating in the endless starry sky, bringing with them a mighty momentum as they collided with King Huafun. In just a short while, the two sides were in an intense battle. The collision of worlds and the confrontation of supernatural powers rippled in the void 30,000 kilometers away. Although there was nothing in the void mezzanine except for the void storm, when the 5 top experts who had reached the level of world creation with a thought fought, there were still waves of violent and blazing space storms. Even the Griffin Castle, which was 30,000 kilometers away, was affected. It was like a lonely boat in a storm, bobbing up and down with the space storm. World creation with a thought. This is world creation with a thought. Xing Hui used aura observation technique to observe the battle from afar. He saw the small worlds of the 5 experts who had reached the level of world creation with a thought constantly colliding. Even from such a distance, he could clearly feel the terrifying power that came from the collision of the 5 small worlds. Whether it was King Huafun or Dragon Sparrow King, these people were not the kind of experts who had reached the level of world creation with a thought not long ago. They could only stabilize their own small worlds. Their worlds had long been stabilized, and on top of that, they were beginning to expand. When they expanded to a certain extent, they would find a way to merge with the Tao, accommodate the power of the Tao, and strive for the realm of chaos. This kind of invincible expert who had reached the level of world creation with a thought was powerful beyond the imagination of the realm of omnipotence. Perhaps dozens or even hundreds of realm of traversal experts could exhaust those experts whose worlds were not yet stable to death with their vast accumulation of resources. However, against these experts who were rich enough to stabilize their worlds and embark on the path of expansion, how could they be compared to them by just a little bit? Even if hundreds of maverick realm powerhouses swarmed together, they might not be able to suppress King Huafun's ferocious flames. This could be seen from the energy waves caused by the collision between his worlds and those of the other 4 top-notch powerhouses who could create worlds with a thought. King Huafun is really fierce. No wonder he was entrusted with such a heavy responsibility to guard Heavenly Valley. Fortunately, Dragon Sparrow King is not weak either. His world has also begun to expand. Although it has not reached the level of King Hunyuan, it is not far off. And the 3 kings he summoned are all experts who have reached the level of world creation with a thought. With the 4 of them working together, King Hunyuan is completely suppressed. Xing Hui watched the battle from afar with a solemn expression. After all, the outcome of this battle was not only related to whether he could safely return to the divine wilderness great world, but also related to his own safety. He could not help but pay attention to it. Chapter 793. Even though King Hunyuan was a master of world creation, he was still at a disadvantage as he was alone and fighting against 4 people at once. The 5 small worlds kept collapsing as they collided. Even though the small worlds of the other 4 kings were damaged, King Hunyuan himself was the one who suffered the heaviest damage. A large number of broken small worlds were sent flying out from his main body, turning into debris that looked like meteorites. After a great battle, King Hunyuan's small world, which was almost 30,000 kilometers in diameter, was destroyed by a third of it. It affected the stability of the entire small world. Sensing the danger, King Hunyuan began to try his best to leave the battlefield. However, faced with such a rare opportunity, Dragon Sparrow King, Black Dragon King, White Fox King, and Thunder Knight King did not want to let him go so easily. Sometimes, they would even let their small worlds collide with King Hunyuan's small world to stop him from escaping. As a result, the battle became more and more intense. With no way out, King Hunyuan had to fight bravely. He focused his energy on White Fox King, who was the weakest among them. When the 2 small worlds collided, the core of White Fox King's small world was broken. The rules were messed up, and a large number of small world fragments were sent flying out. It was like the core of a star that could not hold its own crust and atmosphere, showing signs of collapse. Under such circumstances, even if White Fox King wanted to stop King Hunyuan, she had to quickly retreat. Their ultimate goal was to kill King Hunyuan as much as possible. However, if killing King Hunyuan required one of them to pay a price that would cause both sides to be severely injured, then they could only choose to severely injure the other party. In the collision with White Fox King's world, King Fireburn's own small world had been damaged even more. Although the boundary object at the core had not been destroyed, it was not far from it. Without dozens or hundreds of years of recuperation, he would not be able to recover his battle strength. What a pity, seeing that King Hunyuan was still able to fight his way out of the encirclement of 4 masters. Xing Hui could not help but feel a little regretful. However, at the next moment, he seemed to have thought of something. Wait a minute. King Hunyuan is already at the end of his rope. Even his small world has been torn apart. Maybe I can give him another round of attacks. Xing Hui's eyes flashed. The primordial spirit transformed by the wandering spirit technique quickly traveled through time and space, chasing after Lord of Fire. After entering the edge of the battlefield, he directly followed the small world crack of Lord of Fire that had been smashed into pieces and locked onto one of them. A dimensional lock fell on the nameless expert that Lord of Fire had taken into his small world. Now, I can only hope that the dimensional lock's effect is strong enough. If the dimensional lock is activated, it will allow me to enter Fire King's small world. Then, I might be able to destroy Fire King's small world and kill him. Xing Hui's eyes sparkled. To kill a mighty figure who had reached the world realm with a single thought, just the thought of it was unbelievable. The next moment, a drop of blood appeared on his hand. It was a drop of blazing white blood that emitted a terrifying heat. Golden Crow. A golden crow at the 5th level of the Saint Realm. His current shape-shifting technique could not support his transformation into a divine beast at the 6th level of the Saint Realm. However, even a divine beast at the 5th level of the Saint Realm might be able to deliver a fatal blow if he used it well. Xing Hui quietly sensed the speed of Lord of Fire's escape, waiting for him to leave the range of the White Fox King, Dragon Sparrow King, Black Dragon King, and Thunder Knight King. After the 4 kings of the Kingdom of True Prowess chased for a while and felt that they could not catch up with Lord of Fire, Xing Hui immediately activated the dimensional lock. Whoosh! The next moment, with a flash of spatial fluctuation, his figure appeared in a world full of earth-shattering disasters. The void and earth of this world were filled with cracks. Streams of violent airflow constantly poured down from the void, tearing apart mountains and shattering forests. All living beings that were swept by the violent airflow were annihilated into dust. Earthquakes and volcanoes erupted frequently on the ground. Blazing red magma soared into the sky from the huge cracks in the ground, burning the surroundings. The entire world was like a star whose core had been destroyed, gradually heading towards collapse and destruction. If it were not for the invisible power of law that bound this world like a grid and prevented it from falling, this world would have been completely destroyed. Who are you? Xing Hui's dimensional lock locked onto a creature in this small world. It was a young man in his 20s. This young man was clearly a talented descendant of the Lord of Fire's family who was highly valued. He had cultivated to the realm at such a young age. However, Qing Su could not be bothered to pay too much attention to him. His soul sense quickly scanned through the damaged miniature world. Now that his mental strength had reached the 173rd level, his senses were no longer limited to just 100 kilometers. Instead, they had expanded to several thousand kilometers. Thousands of kilometers was nothing compared to the small world that had a diameter of about 14,000 kilometers. But don't forget, the internal environment of this small world was very dangerous. The edges were constantly collapsing, and even the central area was full of destructive storms, earthquakes, and volcanoes. In order to ensure the safety of the people in the small world, the King of Fire had moved all the core members and top treasures to less than 100 kilometers away from the central area. Therefore, he scanned with his divine telekinesis. All creatures within 100 kilometers and all kinds of precious treasures in this small world were included in his divine telekinesis. He did not have time to look at many of the items in detail before he put them all into his personal space. Among the tens of thousands of survivors, Xing Hui saw a familiar face. It was Tuoba Changkong. When he saw Tuoba Changkong also saw Xing Hui. Tuoba Changkong could not help but widen his eyes. It seems that you are the one who betrayed me. Xing Hui's expression turned cold. However, before he could make his next move, a vast and terrifying power had already pressed down on him from all directions, instantly suppressing him to the point where he could not move. Lord of Fire. When Xing Hui opened his personal space in Lord of Fire's small world, he was naturally noticed by Lord of Fire. Even the moment he entered Lord of Fire's small world, Lord of Fire had already sensed him. However, at that time, Lord of Fire was trying his best to avoid the pursuit of Lord of Dragon Sparrow and the others, so he did not react immediately. Xing Hui took a deep breath and activated the Chaos Technique, Transformation Technique, Divine Technique, and other abilities at the same time. A blazing and violent power burst out from his body. His body directly transformed into a majestic golden crow that was over 1,000 meters tall. Endless light and heat spread wildly in all directions with him as the center. The nearest cultivators who were not even in the divine realm were almost burned to ashes by the terrifying heat of the golden crow before they could see what the sudden burst of light looked like. A transformation technique that can only be used when one is at level 50 chaos. Divine Beast Golden Crow. It really is you. Die. Lord of Fire felt the blazing power that burst out from Xing Hui's body and suddenly roared with joy and anger. The suppressive power rolled over and froze all the blazing power that was escaping from the Golden Crow. However, before he could completely suppress the Divine Beast Golden Crow, the Golden Crow's aura suddenly skyrocketed. Stagnation Technique, Backtrack Technique, various abilities were activated when Xing Hui's Golden Crow incarnation's power soared. At this time, the aura of the Golden Crow, which was at the peak of the omnipotent realm, burst out to the extreme. It was as if a divine beast had exploded into a blazing sun, releasing all the energy in its body in an instant. The impact formed was absolutely destructive. "How dare you!" Lord of Fire roared, and the power of his small world surged in from all directions and suppressed this power within a radius of a few kilometers. Because his small world had already been severely damaged, when he mobilized the power of his small world to suppress the power of Tsing Hui's Golden Crow incarnation, it immediately started to collapse in other directions. Although it was collapsing, this level of collapse was still a little bit away from the complete collapse of the small world. However, this was just the beginning. The real killer move of Tsing Hui's Golden Crow incarnation was not the terrifying energy that was released when the Golden Crow exploded, but the internal collapse of the Golden Crow's body. When a star fell, the internal collapse would bring about a direct change, a black hole. The moment the black hole formed, it was like it had directly pierced a hole in the King of Fire's miniature world. It absorbed the matter in the surroundings madly to replenish itself. Before the King of Fire could even catch his breath after blocking Ching Su's self-detonation, he was immediately faced with the fatal strike that was the straw that broke the camel's back. At that moment, the entire miniature world shook violently. "Oh no!" Lord of Fire's expression changed drastically. He frantically mobilized the power of his small world, trying to make up for the black hole. However, his small world was now completely exhausted. If his small world was still intact, this level of devouring would not be worth mentioning to him. He could easily suppress it, but now, he could only watch as the black hole continued to devour and crush the various basic elements and laws of his small world. It even completely shattered the world core that he used to stabilize his small world. No matter how he tried to save it, he could not completely erase the power of the black hole. No. Along with a series of desperate and unwilling screams, the small world created by King Huifeng, a top-tier powerful being who could create a world with a single thought, as well as all living creatures living in the small world, were completely devoured by the black hole created by the Gold Crow, annihilating them into nothingness. Chapter 794. It's the fluctuation of a collapsing world. A small world is collapsing. Or rather, a world ascendant with a single thought has perished. The moment King Huifeng's world collapsed, Dragon Sparrow King, Thunder Knight King, Black Dragon King, and the others, who had no intention of chasing after King Huifeng, raised their heads at the same time and looked in the same direction. There are only a handful of World Ascension cultivators in our void, and there's only one World Ascension cultivator who might perish, King Huifeng. The few experts looked at each other and their expressions changed at the same time. They could see that although King Huifeng's injuries were very serious, if they really wanted to kill him, they would have to pay the price of a World Creation Realm expert who was severely injured. But now, they actually sensed the fluctuation of a collapsing world and the fall of a World Creation Realm expert. Without any hesitation, the four experts, who had already returned to their base, jumped at full speed at the same time and rushed toward the collapsing void of King Huifeng's world. Not long after, the four of them appeared in the void above the collapsing void. Looking at the medium-sized black hole formed by the collapse of the world in front of them, the four World Creation Realm experts' expressions suddenly became serious. It's King Huifeng. King Huifeng has fallen. Although King Huifeng's injuries were serious when he escaped, it's definitely not to the extent of falling. Could it be that someone attacked King Huifeng after he left? And killed King Huifeng, who was still struggling on the verge of death? It's the aura of the Golden Crow. Black Dragon King stepped forward and pulled a strand of power over. He carefully sensed it and said with a serious face, there was a Golden Crow that attacked here, but it might have been killed by King Huifeng's counterattack before he died. Golden Crow. Dragon Sparrow King seemed to have thought of something. Could it be that the divine beasts are planning to attack us humans? 2 years ago, a level 17 Kunpeng appeared in our void battlefield. It hunted more than a dozen divine true body experts of the Qiang Empire on the battlefield, causing the Rampage Realm Fort Masters of the Qiang Empire to have to run around to defend against the divine beast Kunpeng. First, the divine beast Kunpeng hunted our divine true body cultivators, and now, a golden crow is involved in the mystery of King Huafun's death. Could it be that those divine beasts can't sit still and are ready to make a move? Impossible. Although the divine beasts in our true Sun Great World are not weak, there are no divine beasts above level 19, which is the supremacy divine beasts. The strongest divine beasts are only level 18 king grade divine beasts. Although these king grade divine beasts are tyrannical, and one of them can rival more than a dozen of US humans who can create a world with a thought, but they are hardly a match for our three emperors who have cultivated to the chaotic realm. If it were not for our three emperors who were worried that the other two divine beasts would take advantage of their weakness to attack those divine beasts, I am afraid the divine beasts and sacred beasts in our true Sun Great World would have been killed and driven away. Black Dragon King shook his head without hesitation. King Huafun is dead. This is a fact. Although we don't know whether King Huafun was killed by a divine beast, the Scarlet Sun Empire will definitely increase the offensive of the Void Battlefield in order to take revenge. Everyone, please return as soon as possible and discuss with the Fort Lords under your jurisdiction. Let's focus on defense for the time being. Although it's a bit depressing to defend for a period of time, the Scarlet Sun Empire paid the price of a king. It's worth it. Although there are many world creation experts in the Scarlet Sun Empire, only the 18 kings and the 12 Grand Dukes are completely under the command of the imperial family. The rest of the world creation experts may give face to the imperial family of the Scarlet Sun Empire in small matters, but they may not be willing to intervene in such a big matter that involves the war between the three empires. The death of King Huafun is a big blow to the entire Scarlet Sun Empire. Thunder Knight King had a smile on his face. He seemed to be quite happy. Alright, let's return. On one hand, let our forts be careful of the counterattack of the Scarlet Sun Empire. On the other hand, we have to be careful of the divine beasts' movements. The divine beasts are not a small force. There are dozens of level 18 divine beasts and saint beasts in each of the two continents. In addition, the divine beasts have an innate advantage when dealing with us humans. If either of the two continents joins a kingdom, it will change the balance of power between the three kingdoms. It's best to inform His Majesty about this matter and let His Majesty take note of it personally. That's what I mean. It's a pity that the King of Fire is dead, but I don't know where his treasures are. I heard that there is a divine intelligence elixir in the King of Fire's world, which is a great treasure for enlightening special life forms. Not long ago, I obtained a huge amount of magnetism force. If I can use the divine intelligence elixir to enlighten it into a magnetism spirit, it will definitely become a powerful assistant. Divine intelligence spiritual liquid. This is a priceless treasure. Thunder Knight King, you can only blame yourself for not having such a treasure. The Black Dragon King laughed. If this treasure falls into the hands of the divine beasts, then don't even think about it. The divine intelligence spiritual liquid also has a significant effect on enlightening divine beasts. The Thunder Knight King shrugged and made a helpless expression. That's all for now. I'll have to trouble you all this time. As the Dragon Sparrow King spoke, he seemed to have thought of something and smiled. Although we didn't kill King Huafun, killing a peak expert of the Scarlet Sun Empire who can create a world with a single thought is a great achievement. As for Zichen Gang, who provided the clues about King Huafun, he can also get some of the credit. What's more, he has killed several divine true body experts in the Void Battlefield in the past few years. I plan to ask His Majesty to confer him the title of Marquis on his behalf. When the time comes, I'll ask for your help. Since the Dragon Sparrow King has spoken, then we naturally have to give you face. Just a Marquis? Sure. That little fellow from the Zichen family? He actually has such strength at such a young age. It seems like his potential isn't bad. After a few thousand years, the Zichen family might have another expert who can create a world with a single thought. The Black Dragon King, the Thunder Knight King, and the White Fox King were in a good mood, so they naturally didn't mind giving face to the Dragon Sparrow King. The Dragon Sparrow King nodded, then chatted with the Black Dragon King and the others for a while before leaving. While the Dragon Sparrow King, the Thunder Knight King, the Black Dragon King, and the others were guessing who killed King Huafun, Xing Hui, the culprit who killed King Huafun, returned to the Griffin Castle as quickly as possible. When he thought back to what he did just now, he couldn't help but exclaim in his heart. The dimensional lock played a huge role in successfully killing the severely injured King Huafun. If it wasn't for the dimensional lock, he wouldn't have been able to enter King Huafun's broken world. Furthermore, it would be much more difficult to break King Huafun's world from the outside. In addition, he was also glad that King Huafun's injuries were severe enough. If his small world wasn't so broken, even if a golden crow turned into a black hole, it might not have been able to destroy his small world. If he couldn't destroy King Huafun's small world, when King Huafun reacted, the ancient god realm would come crashing down and trap him. What awaited him would be the fate of a turtle in a jar. Fortunately, he made the right bet. He turned into a golden crow and turned into a black hole. He was the last straw that broke the camel's back. He killed King Huafun, who was at the end of his rope. Not only did he loot King Huafun's small world, but he also killed King Huafun, Tuoba Changkong, and the others who knew his secret. Now, he could rest easy about his secret identity. As for the possibility that King Huafun would tell others about it, Xing Hui felt that the probability of that was very low. In King Huafun's eyes, it was easy for him to capture a small void-shattering cultivator with his ability. Why would he ask others to do it? Moreover, he was related to the secret of the divine wilderness Great World. Although King Huafun was the king of the Scarlet Sun Empire, if he had the chance to monopolize the divine wilderness Great World, Xing Hui believed that he would not hesitate to swallow all the Taoist rhymes of the divine wilderness Great World. I should be safe now. The only one who knows that I've turned into Zichen's gang is Taba Zhangkong, and Taba Zhangkong has already died along with the destruction of the King of Fire's world. My identity should be safe, Xing Hui pondered. After a while, he seemed to have thought of something, and a light flashed in his eyes. In King Huafun's small world, I seem to have sensed the aura of an acquaintance. That person. Xing Hui grasped this light and used the deduction technique. After a while, he figured out the truth of the matter. Black Lotus Shakyamuni. Black Flame Sex Black Lotus Shakyamuni. He is in King Huafun's small world, so he must have told King Huafun. It seems like I need to plan my identity carefully. There are 22 people. God knows if there are others who are disloyal. In addition, I need to send a message to the people I trust to be careful and hide their information, so that they won't be implicated by me. After understanding where the problem was, Xing Hui relaxed a lot. At this time, he also had time to take a good look at the many treasures that he had hurriedly collected from King Huafun's small world. Although he and Zhangzhen Shangren had once excavated the cave of a powerful person who could create a world with a single thought, and even found the dragonization fruit tree and the world core inside, the wealth of a living powerful person who could create a world with a single thought was far from what a dead powerful person could compare to. I remember seeing an image of me being trapped in the ancient God world fragment when I used reverse future prediction. Ordinary ancient God world fragments can't interfere with the normal use of my Son of Chaos power, but King Huafun's ancient God world fragment can affect me. It's definitely not as simple as a fragment. Xing Hui's eyes quickly searched through the spoils of war. Not long after, a fragment that was obviously larger than the ordinary ancient God world fragment appeared in his vision. Seeing this ancient God world fragment, Xing Hui's eyes suddenly lit up with joy. Based on the size, I'm afraid this is 3 ancient God world fragments combined into one. Xing Hui carefully sensed and then took out his ancient God world fragment without hesitation. Suddenly, the ancient God-world fragment seemed to have a life of its own. It was attracted by the larger ancient God-world fragment, and the two merged into one to form an even larger ancient God-world fragment. Previously, there were only 3 fragments. Now that I have one, there are 4 fragments. In other words, out of the 12 fragments of the ancient God-world fragment, now have 1/3 of it. Xing Hui held the ancient God-world fragment in his hand. He could not help but have some thoughts about collecting the ancient God-world fragments to open the ancient Overgod's kingdom. After a while, he collected his thoughts and focused on what was in front of him. The remaining ancient God-world fragments are in the hands of the powerful people who could create a world with a single thought. One of them is in the hands of the king of the kingdom of Zhenwu, who is also the king of the chaotic realm. There's no point in me thinking about these now. I'd better see how powerful the ancient God-world fragment is after the 4 fragments combined into one. Chapter 795. Xing Hui's figure appeared in the void. Very good, the defensive effect can trap a Vermilion Realm expert for a few dozen breaths. Even if 3 to 5 Vermilion Realm experts are trapped inside, they won't be able to escape for a few breaths. Plus, it's interfering with the Chaos Temple itself. Xing Hui thought about how powerful the ancient divine world fragment was and was slightly shocked. Even if his chaos level was at the shocking 74th level, the ancient divine world fragment still interfered with him for half a breath's worth of time. In other words, he needed half a breath's worth of time to sense the Chaos Temple, unlike before where he could sense it with just a thought. Half a breath's worth of time was a little more than a second. However, for a top almighty like King Huifeng, half a breath's worth of time was enough to kill him several times over. This was the absolute difference between a Vermilion Realm expert and a World Creation expert. Looks like I'll be able to hunt Overlord Realm Masters in peace from now on. Now that the 4 fragments of the ancient God Realm have combined into one, its range has increased from 30 to 40 kilometers to 100 kilometers, which is enough to cover a battle fortress. However, a battle fortress is different from an Overlord Realm Master. Unless I have the ability to transform into a level 18 divine beast, I won't be able to fight a battle fortress head-on. Xing Hui compared the difference in strength between himself and his enemies. The battle forts were the most powerful weapons in the true Martial Empire, Red Sun Empire, and Flame River Empire. Each battle fort was controlled by a few traversal realm cultivators, hundreds, or even thousands of divine true body cultivators, and vacuum-shattering realm cultivators. The power they could unleash was enough to fight against a small world created by a top-tier realm cultivator. The true Martial Empire had less than 400 battle fortresses in total. The Crimson Sun Empire and Flaming River Empire had even fewer battle fortresses. They only had about 500 in total. Let's refine the dragonization fruit first. Xing Hui returned to the Griffin Castle as he thought to himself. After arriving at the Griffin Castle, he glanced at the spoils of war again and picked out a few good items. There were treasures that could strengthen divine true bodies, treasures that could strengthen life essence, and many spatial crystals. Among these treasures, the ones that truly caught Qing Su's attention were a portion of divine wisdom elixir and a Taoist heart. The Tao heart had another name, the Tao Comprehension Stone. It was a treasure that could greatly enhance a cultivator's comprehension of the 18 great Taos in the chaotic divine realm. From world creation to primal chaos realm, it mainly depended on the cultivator's comprehension of the great Tao. When the cultivator could become one with the Tao and become one with the great Tao that he had comprehended, that would be when he truly reached primal chaos realm. At that time, the law that stabilized a world creation expert would no longer be a pavilion in the sky. Instead, it would be the power of the great Tao that was born in the chaotic divine realm. It would be enough to make a world creation expert's small world impregnable. In addition, a world creation expert could borrow the power of the great Tao to continuously mobilize space energy and inject it into his small world, causing it to rapidly expand. To use a simple analogy, those who were able to stabilize their world with a single thought would be considered old-school experts. If they were able to expand their world to 20 to 30,000 kilometers, they would be considered outstanding. If they were able to expand their world to over 30,000 kilometers, they would be considered the pinnacle of the realm, the strongest of them all. But Primal Chaos Realm, even the weakest Primal Chaos Realm expert small world was 100,000 kilometers in radius. Most Primal Chaos Realm expert small worlds could reach hundreds of thousands of kilometers in radius. There was no lack of Primal Chaos Realm expert small worlds that could reach up to 1,000,000 kilometers in radius. The difference in size between a small world with a diameter of 1,000,000 kilometers and a small world with a diameter of 10,000 kilometers was more than just a little bit. Moreover, Primal Chaos Realm Supremes used the power of the Great Tao that manifested in the chaotic divine realm to construct their small world. On the other hand, top almighty world creation experts used the virtual law to bind their small world. It was like comparing a mud ball with a diameter of 1 meter and a steel ball with a diameter of 100 meters. Once they collided, a world creation expert in a small world with a thought that was 10,000 kilometers in diameter would be easily destroyed. This was the development model of the Divine Beast bloodline cultivation system in the later stages. There was basically no technique to speak of. It completely relied on energy and size to collide. It followed the law of the jungle. The big fish ate the small fish, and the small fish ate the shrimps. The strong were respected. World creation. I don't know when I'll be able to create my own small world. I don't even know if I'll be able to create my own small world after embarking on another cultivation path. Tsing Hui felt a little regretful. He could only keep this Tao comprehension stone for now. After a while, his gaze landed on the Divine Wisdom Spirit Liquid. The Divine Wisdom Spirit Liquid was an absolute treasure that could enlighten the characteristics of a divine life form. It was a priceless treasure that even world creation experts and Primal Chaos Realm giants wanted. If it was sold, it could be sold for 300 to 400 Taoist rhymes even in a world like the True Sun Great World that lacked Taoist rhymes. One had to know that the annual production of Taoist rhymes in the True Sun Great World did not exceed 2,000. Even if they could plunder some Taoist items from the Divine Wilderness Great World through the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, their income was still not very high. The average wealth of a world creation expert could not even reach the Divine Wilderness Great World standard. This showed how precious the Divine Wisdom Spirit Liquid was. Tsing Hui's attention paused on the Divine Wisdom Spirit Liquid for a moment. He suddenly had an idea. The next moment, the Scarlet Abyss sword appeared in his hand. Then, he used the Divine Wisdom Spirit Liquid on the Scarlet Abyss sword without hesitation. The Scarlet Abyss sword spirit had been fully nurtured and had developed spirituality. However, as its spirituality was too weak, it had not completely taken shape until now. The arrival of this Divine Wisdom Spirit Liquid had undoubtedly added fuel to the fire. As the Scarlet Abyss sword absorbed and refined the Divine Wisdom Spirit Liquid, circles of spirituality that was much stronger than before began to dissipate in all directions. Not long after, this spirituality had almost reached a state where it could take form. As it did not know what form it wanted to take, it could only use the Scarlet Abyss sword's memory to shape its own form. As a result, it turned into a golden crow one moment and a torch dragon the next. The two constantly changed. In the end, it began to fuse the powers of the golden crow and torch dragon. Although it had the body of a torch dragon, it grew the wings and claws of a golden crow. Its body burned with the blazing true sun fire, just like a brand new life form. Sensing the changes in the Scarlet Abyss sword, Tsing Hui did not dare to delay. He immediately took out the ancient god world. Fortunately, the ancient god world had the miraculous effect of opening up space. The inside of the ancient god world formed a space of its own. As a result, even though the Scarlet Abyss sword had become a brand new life form that was half golden crow and half torch dragon and had absorbed the Scarlet Abyss sword's energy to expand to over 200 meters in an extremely short period of time, under the seal of the ancient god world's power, the energy wave still did not spread. It was limited to his cultivation room that was no more than 30 meters in diameter. Hum. Hum. After the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit stabilized its external form, it suddenly let out a long hum and turned from an illusion to reality. Immediately, a mighty, blazing heat wave radiated from the Scarlet Abyss sword and surged in all directions. If not for the fact that Xing Hui's physique had already reached the peak of level 15, he would have been in danger of being roasted alive under the impact of this heat wave. This power has already reached the reigning realm. The Scarlet Abyss sword has the advantage of the originator and is indeed blessed by nature. It has actually advanced to level 17 in such a short period of time and has even used the power of the divine intelligence spirit liquid to transform. Xing Hui's eyes were filled with faint joy when he sensed the vast and majestic power of the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit when it transformed. Part of the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit was the remnant sword intent, while the other part was nourished by his own sword intent. His sword intent originated from the Eastern Yang sword manual and was also tainted with the aura of the Golden Crow and the Torch Dragon. In the end, it was reasonable for the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit to transform into this form. In any case, the sword spirit did not possess a true form at all. When it transformed like this, it was merely an energy body. If it wanted to, it could easily transform into any form. The only difference was that it maintained its half Golden Crow and half Torch Dragon form. It could possess the various abilities and talents that Xing Hui had comprehended. For example, the Great Sun True Spirit, Backlight Strike, Light Sense Deprivation, Sun Glory, Sun Burst, Solar Eclipse, and finally, the Black Sun form that was like a black hole. These abilities could not be used after transforming into any other form. Scarlet Abyss. Xing Hui called out to the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit, who still had a somewhat confused expression on his face. Scarlet Abyss, the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit murmured, I'm Qing. I remember, I should have my own name. Qing. Qing Lian. No, I'm Scarlet Abyss. Father gave me a new name. Scarlet Abyss. I'm Scarlet Abyss. Qing Lian. When Xing Hui heard the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit murmur, he quickly connected it to a part of the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit's previous self. The divine sword of the Green Lotus sword sect. The Scarlet Abyss sword spirit did indeed have a part of the Green Lotus sword intent. He immediately smiled. Your current name is Scarlet Abyss. If you're not satisfied with this name, how about Scarlet Lotus? Green Abyss? I am Scarlet Abyss. The Scarlet Abyss sword spirit shook its head. In the next moment, its consciousness gradually regained clarity. It bowed slightly to Xing Hui. Thank you, Father, for granting me life. Father, the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit was born from his sword intent, so it was not wrong to call it that. It was just that, Xing Hui, who had yet to become a parent, found it a little strange when he heard this name. However, he did not take it to heart. Instead, he nodded. Since you've transformed, cultivate well next. Use the power of the origin to stabilize the characteristics of a level 17 life form as soon as possible and evolve toward level 18. I'm very much looking forward to the power you'll be able to display after evolving to level 18. Father, I will cultivate well and strive to be of help to you and slay your enemies. Xing Hui nodded. The Scarlet Abyss sword spirit's transformation was a pleasant surprise. The Scarlet Abyss sword spirit's strength was not inferior to that of a reigning realm expert. If it was combined with its various talents, especially the Solar Eclipse form and the Black Sun form, Xing Hui believed that even a peak powerhouse of the One Thought realm would have a headache when facing it. Chapter 796. While Xing Hui was inspecting the spoils of war from killing Lord Hufen and continuing to refine the dragonisation fruit, the news of Lord Hufen's death quickly swept across the entire True Sun Great World like a storm. World creation with a thought, let alone in the True Sun Great World, was a top existence in any place, and was one of the best among those powerful forces. In particular, Lord Hufen, who had been conferred the title of king, was a powerful existence among those at the world creation stage. His small world had expanded to nearly 30,000 kilometers in size, which made it easy for him to deal with those who had just entered the world creation stage. This could be seen from the fact that he was able to seriously injure the White Fox King and escape from the encirclement of the 4 veteran world creation stage experts, the Dragon Sparrow King, the White Fox King, the Black Dragon King and the Thunder Knight King. It should be said that each of the 4 kings was extraordinary. The strongest, the Thunder Knight King and the Black Dragon King, had worlds with diameters of more than 20,000 kilometers. Even the Dragon Sparrow King's small world was close to 20,000 kilometers in size, but he was still able to injure the weakest White Fox King and escape. This showed just how fierce Lord Hufen was. But now, such a powerful king, who could be ranked in the top 5 or even top 3 in the Qiyang Empire, had fallen in the void battlefield. It was easy to imagine how shocking this news would be. On the Tsangshuan continent, Old Man Xinmo, who had followed Lord Hufen, was still in a state of shock. Although he was good at playing with spirits, he wasn't an expert. In a head-on battle, he wasn't a match for Lord Hufen, the Black Dragon King, the Thunder Knight King, the Dragon Sparrow King and the White Fox King. He had followed Lord Hufen to the void battlefield to see if he could figure out why Lord Hufen was in such a hurry to return to the Tsangshuan continent, and see if he could get some benefits. He didn't expect to see a great battle between the 5 kings. The head-on collision of such a powerful small world made him, an expert at the world creation stage who had just stabilized his own small world, tremble with fear and had no choice but to stay far away. When the battle was over, the energy fluctuations from Lord Hufen's death woke him up again. He quietly sneaked over and took a look from a distance, just in time to see the Dragon Sparrow King, the Black Dragon King, the Thunder Knight King and the White Fox King pointing at the place where Lord Hufen had fallen. Old Man Xinmo didn't dare to do anything. He immediately fled back to the Tsangshuan continent. Even if he had other plans, he would have to do it from a place like the Cloud Mountain Utopia. Dao Seeker Qiu Dao, who was behind the Cloud Mountain Grotto Heaven, was also shocked when he heard the news of King Hufeng's death. With their intelligence channels, they quickly deduced that the rich man who lived on Dongyang Mountain in the Cloud Mountain Cave was most likely a junior of a big shot in the Zhenwu Empire. Under such circumstances, the people in the Cloud Mountain Cave naturally did their best to protect Dongyang Mountain. Although there was also a chaotic expert behind Lord Hufen, a strong dragon can't suppress a local snake. What's more, the chaotic expert behind Lord Hufen was blocked outside the true Sun Great World by the primal chaos overlords behind the 3 great empires. Under such circumstances, the insiders of Lord Hufen naturally couldn't offend the true Sun Great World's strongest empire. Under such circumstances, when Qing Su used the technique of the 3 purities to create a clone of the prime clear lineage and arrived at the eastern Yang peak of the Cloud Mountain dwelling, all he saw was a newly repaired mountain. It seemed to be the same as when he left. This gentleman is, when Xing Hui appeared outside the mountain peak, Qi Yukong had already come out to greet him and stared at him a little warily. "I've been ordered to take Princess Longyu away," Xing Hui said and took out the identity token to open the array. Qi Yukong looked at the jade token Xing Hui took out, hurriedly bowed, and withdrew. They had received news that the peak master of the Eastern Sun Peak had an unbelievably powerful background. He was at least related to a top expert at the world creation stage. King Hufen was very famous, wasn't he? He had tyrannically descended on the Tsangshuan continent, invaded the Cloud Mountain Utopia, and captured the people of the Eastern Sun Peak. None of the several world creation stage experts within 100,000 kilometers of Blackwood City dared to stop him, but didn't he still die in the void battlefield in the end? In the face of such a person with such a powerful background, Qi Yukong, a small guard commander of the Cloud Mountain Utopia, naturally didn't dare to offend him. Xing Hui entered the Eastern Sun Peak and directly found Princess Longyu, who was being raised in the eastern Sun Peak, and took her away. Princess Longyu had great luck and great opportunities. Her luck was so strong that it could be said to be like a bull. Although it hadn't been revealed yet, as long as there was an opportunity, she would soar into the sky. Although Tsinghui couldn't see where Princess Longyu's opportunity came from, as long as he took good care of her, he would eventually be able to get a share of it. This was also the reason why Tsinghui had sent his Shangqing clone to pick up Princess Longyu. In any case, with his identity, it was easy for him to protect a woman. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, another 3 months had passed. In these 3 months, Tsinghui had completely refined the dragonization fruit. Unfortunately, although the dragonization fruit's effect was good and allowed his physique to take a solid step on the path to the 16th level, it was still a little short of completely refining and evolving to the 16th level. After all, the dragonization fruit wasn't a treasure specially used to refine and strengthen the physique. Its main effect was to stimulate one's potential and enhance one's life essence. I need mysterious desolate qi, Tsinghui thought. After this round of dragonization fruit, he would have to wait for the next round, which would take at least 2 years. Although this period of time couldn't be any shorter for ordinary cultivators, Tsinghui still wasn't satisfied. It was already so difficult to advance from the 15th level to the 16th level. How much time and effort would it take to advance from the 16th level to the 17th level, and from the 17th level to the 18th level? Zichen Gang, good news. I have heaven-sent news. Just as Tsinghui ended his seclusion and was about to search for more mysterious desolate qi, the lord of the Griffin Castle came looking for Tsinghui. The Empire has already appointed you as a marquis. Although it won't be difficult for you to become a marquis as you mature, this kind of favor is extremely rare. Furthermore, in addition to the title of marquis, because of your intelligence contributions in the battle against King Huifeng, all of these merit points have been distributed to you. That's a whopping 180,000. 180,000 merit points. This number surprised Tsinghui. If he exchanged 180,000 merit points for an item that carried the Dao, he would need 180 Daos. However, compared to the Daos, the true martial empire's merit points were far inferior. If he wanted to exchange an item that carried the Dao for merit points, the ratio was 1 to 1,000. However, if he wanted to exchange merit points for an item that carried the Dao, the ratio was at least 3,000 to 1. Even so, 180,000 merit points was still equivalent to 60 years of income from an item that carried the Dao. Zichen Gang, do you want to return to your empty position or continue to stay in the void battlefield? I'm afraid that we'll have to focus on defense for a period of time. The number of times we attack will decrease, and the chances of obtaining merit points will also decrease greatly. In fact, the danger will also increase. Now that you've been conferred the title of Marquis with the strength of a divine true body, your future is limitless. There's no need for you to continue fighting in the void battlefield. I suggest that you return to the true martial empire for the time being. My main purpose in coming to the void battlefield is to awaken my memories in the midst of life and death. From there, I'll recall the scenes when I lost my memories. Before I complete this mission, I don't plan to leave the void battlefield. Tsinghui's attitude was resolute. Is that so? Hearing this, the Griffin Marquis couldn't forcefully dissuade him. He could only say, then be careful. Don't go out so easily during this period of time. Right now, the Scarlet Sun Empire's army is being mobilized frequently, especially the experts who are out patrolling. Basically, in every 3 to 5 people squads, there will be a traversal realm expert hiding. It's very dangerous. I understand. Tsinghui nodded. However, he was quite tempted in his heart. Originally, it was rather troublesome for him to find the Scarlet Sun Empire's troops. As long as he killed a few more people, the traversal realm experts would lead the troops out. But now, his physique had been raised to the peak of the 15th order, nearing the 16th order. The duration of his transformation into a divine beast had been greatly extended. In addition, the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit's transformation was equivalent to a traversal realm expert. Furthermore, he had the ancient divine realm that had become even more powerful after the four pieces merged. Even if there were traversal realm experts hiding among the patrolling troops, he could still devour them without anyone noticing. I was just worried that I wouldn't be able to break through the defense of a battle fort with my current strength. Who would have thought that the Scarlet Sun Empire would take the initiative to come knocking on my door? I can't miss such an opportunity. Xing Hui calculated in his heart. After a while, looking at the Griffin Marquis in front of him, he seemed to have thought of something and suddenly asked, "Griffin Marquis, I want to buy some mysterious desolate chi. The price is negotiable, I wonder if you have any channels." Mysterious desolate chi. The Griffin Marquis was slightly startled. Isn't that thing useful only for divine beasts and divine beasts? To us humans, not only is the effect not obvious, but it's also extremely difficult to obtain. Speaking up to here, he seemed to have thought of something. You have a pet. If it's a divine beast pet, I don't recommend you to spend such a precious treasure on it. After all, a strand of mysterious desolate chi is something that we would have to spend at least 60 Daoist rhymes to buy from our internal channels. 60 Daoist rhymes isn't difficult. I just obtained 180,000 merit points, so I can exchange for about 60 Daoist rhymes. If it's any less, I'll make up for it myself. The key is, do you have any channels to buy it? Hehe, why don't you go buy it yourself? In the circle of nobles of our true martial empire, there is a small high-end trading circle. The treasures that are sold and traded there are not sold to the nobles of the empire. Originally, you could borrow your father's authority to buy it. Now that you are a marquis of the empire, you can go in yourself. Speaking up to here, the Griffin Marquis directly transferred a spiritual imprint to him. This is the method to enter the personal space of the brave and loyal king of the royal family. After you go in, report your identity and go through an examination. After you pass the examination, you will naturally be able to send out a request to buy the item you want to buy. During the examination, there will be 3 guarantors. I'm one, and you can contact the other 2 in your Zichen family. Hearing this, Xing Hui immediately understood. No wonder he felt that the trading circle of the empire's upper echelons was at most on par with the Scarlet Jade Merchant Guild. It was completely incomparable to the status of the number 1 empire in the true Sun Great World. Now, it seemed that it was because he had never truly entered the upper echelons of the empire. He immediately said impatiently, "I'll go take a look now." Chapter 797. According to the spiritual imprint the Griffin Marquis had given him, Xing Hui appeared in a personal space. The authority of this personal space was rather strict. Xing Hui, who had entered the personal space, was clearly in a sectioned area, and had not yet been released to the core area of the personal space. When he appeared, he was in a palace. At the same time, a young woman in work clothes came up to him and respectfully greeted him. "Sir, do you want to enter the glorious land? We need to verify your identity. At the same time, you need 3 members of the glorious land to jointly vouch for you. I am Zichen Gang, a marquis of the empire. The ones vouching for me are the Griffin Marquis, the Zichen families Zichen Lai, and Zichen Guang. Please wait a moment. I'll immediately go and verify with them." The woman said, then seemed to be busy. They didn't have to wait for too long. Soon, 2 figures appeared in the sectioned-off palace. Although their appearances were different from the outside world, Xing Hui immediately recognized them. They were the Griffin Marquis and the head of the Zichen family, Zichen Lai. "Ha ha ha, good boy, good job. How long has it been? You actually managed to obtain the title of Marquis of the Empire. Amazing, amazing." Zichen Lai laughed loudly when he saw Xing Hui. If it weren't for the fact that Zichen Gang was in the void battlefield, making it inconvenient for him to travel back and forth, he might have personally come from the Zichen family to congratulate him. After all, Xing Hui's impersonator, Zichen Gang, was Zichen Lai's son in name and by blood. It's just a small achievement, not worth mentioning. Xing Hui said modestly. In our true martial empire, although the titles before counts aren't worth much, counts and marquises already carry a lot of weight. If you can obtain a territory, that'll be even more amazing. In the future, it won't be difficult for you to start a bloodline that will last for generations. Zichen Lai seemed very happy. He was very proud of his son's achievements. Zichen Lai, you have a good son. I wonder when my son will be able to compare to Marquis Zichen Gang, and have the courage to enter the void battlefield and make contributions. The Griffin Marquis said enviously. You flatter me. Let's deal with this matter first. Xing Hui said. As a guarantor, right? That's simple. Zichen said with a smile. The Zichen clan didn't have much, but in terms of connections, there really weren't many clans that could compare to them. With his appearance, the matter of the guarantor was quickly resolved. After entering the personal space known as the Land of Glory, Zichen Lai quickly arrived at a large castle with an attitude of showing off. The castle was decorated extremely luxuriously, and there were many dignified sons of chaos going in and out of it. The auras of these people were not obvious, but without exception, they all had one thing in common, and that was their extraordinary bearing. After all, to be able to enter the glorious land, one had to be the son of some important person, or they were extremely capable and belonged to the upper echelons of the empire. It was reasonable for them to have this kind of bearing. Zichen Lai led Zichen Gang, introducing all the counts, marquises, and even dukes who had good relations with the Zichen clan to Xing Hui. He did this to help pave the way for Xing Hui, but also to use Xing Hui's influence to announce to the world that even though the Zichen clan's ancestor had fallen, they were still full of talented people. Before long, they would return to the peak of power in the true martial empire. Is this our empire's new upstart? Marquis Zichen Gang, the one who contributed precious information in the battle against King Fire? Just as Zichen Lai introduced Xing Hui to the Zichen clan's friendly factions, a voice rang out from the side. Next, a man with a graceful bearing and a noble aura walked over, surrounded by a group of people. It's His Highness the Fourth Prince, whispered Zichen Lai. Recently, there's news that His Majesty intends to give up on the throne and focus on the layout outside the True Sun Great Realm. As a result, the princes who have the qualifications to compete for the throne have become restless. At present, our Zichen clan is most interested in the fourth prince, His Highness Daozhen. His Highness the Second Prince has cultivated for less than 3,000 years, but he's already at the peak of the unhindered realm. In the future, he has a chance of forming a world with a single thought. Xing Hui couldn't help but feel speechless when he heard that. Before he obtained the title of Marquis, he was just an ordinary person who could be dispensable. But now, although his status wasn't that great, it couldn't stop him from being young and having a bright future ahead of him. Even the fourth prince had come to greet him personally, showing a hint of wanting to recruit him. Your Highness. Xing Hui greeted Zichen Lai. You really are young and promising. Daozhen sized up Xing Hui, then smiled. Zichen Gang, I've already heard of your achievements in the void battlefield. Over the years, you've killed more than one divine true body expert. I'm very curious to see just how strong you'll be when you break through to the divine true body realm. I'm afraid that you'll have a chance to rival an unhindered realm expert. Your Highness is too kind. I merely relied on an ancient sword technique to barely show off in the void battlefield. How could I possibly compete against an unhindered realm expert? You're too humble. You're not even 400 years old yet, and you already have a glorious achievement of killing a divine true body expert. As long as you have enough time, the future will definitely be yours. Daozhen said with a smile, I heard that your sword technique seems to be related to the strength of your body. The stronger your body, the stronger your sword technique. Not long ago, I happened to get a strand of dark barren aura from my father. Even though dark barren aura is mainly useful for holy beasts and divine beasts, if we humans absorb and refine it, it can also greatly increase the strength of our bodies. I'll give this to you as a gift for our first meeting. I'll have someone send it to you later. Dark barren aura. Xing Hui secretly glanced at the Griffin Duke. The news of him wanting to buy dark barren aura was clearly leaked by the Griffin Duke. By the looks of it, the Griffin Duke should also be on the fourth prince's side. In fact, the Dragon Sparrow King might also be supporting the fourth prince in secret. As he thought about it, he decided that it would be a waste if he didn't take the benefits, so he immediately agreed, "Thank you, Your Highness. Dark barren aura is indeed very useful to me, so I'll shamelessly accept it. It's good that it's useful. I'll think of a way to help you find the whereabouts of dark barren aura again. If I find any clues, I'll definitely inform you immediately," Dao Zhen said with a smile. In the end, he seemed to have thought of something and suddenly suggested, "I remember that Zichen Gang is still unmarried, right? Coincidentally, I have a daughter named Qin Zhen. She's 300 years old, and has been educated since young. She's good at the four arts. Why don't I be the matchmaker and set up a marriage for the two of you?" Zi Chenlai was slightly stunned when he heard that. If the Zichen family's ancestor hadn't died, then he had the right to consider the marriage of the fourth prince's daughter. But now, the Zichen family's ancestor had already died, and the Zichen family's reputation had fallen by more than half. If the fourth prince was still willing to marry his daughter to Zichen Gang under these circumstances, then he was indeed thinking highly of Zichen Gang. All of a sudden, Zi Chenlai quickly made a face towards Zichen Gang. Since Zichen Gang had just received benefits from the fourth prince, he naturally couldn't refuse. Since he didn't plan to use the identity of Zichen Gang for too long, he simply said, "I, Zichen Gang, am naturally happy to accept your highness's favor. However, I'm currently in the Void Battleground, and don't plan on returning anytime soon. Why don't we postpone this matter for a while, and hold the wedding 100 years later?" 100 years, the fourth prince and the Zichen family both had extraordinary foundations. Zichen Gang and Qin Zhen naturally wouldn't be limited to just 3,000 years old in the future. It wouldn't be hard for them to cultivate a divine true body, and live for 10,000 years. Based on a lifespan of 10,000 years, 100 years was just a year or even 10 months in the eyes of mortals. If they decided on it now, then holding the wedding 10 months later wasn't something unacceptable. So, Dao Zhen immediately agreed, "All right, then we'll do as you say." After that, Xing Hui and Zi Chenlai once again got to know some of the nobles of the current dynasty. They only ended when Xing Hui was getting a bit impatient. If it wasn't because he needed to use this identity to fend off the possible threat of the Scarlet Sun Empire, he would have already turned around and left. Why would he waste time here with Zi Chenlai? After dealing with these troublesome social interactions, Xing Hui sent out a request to purchase Profound Wasteland Energy. However, Profound Wasteland Energy was a treasure that could only be found by chance. There were very few of them on the market. Although Xing Hui sent out a request to purchase, no one contacted him in a short period of time. Fortunately, the fourth Prince Dao Zhen obtained a strand of Profound Wasteland Energy to make up for his loss. After waiting for a month, the strand of Profound Wasteland Energy was successfully sent to him. Xing Hui's mood recovered slightly when he saw the strand of Profound Wasteland Energy. Afterwards, he didn't waste any more time. Taking advantage of the tense situation outside, he went into seclusion to refine the strand of Profound Wasteland Energy again. Under the tempering of the dragonification fruit, his physique had already reached the peak of the 15th level. Now that he had obtained the strand of Profound Wasteland Energy, he finally broke through the barrier between the 15th level and the 16th level. The moment his physique broke through to the 16th level, Xing Hui could clearly sense an enormous change in his body structure. Every single cell in his body seemed to have fallen into an incomparable thirst. They began to madly absorb energy from the outside world. As he absorbed the energy, his body continued to expand like an inflated balloon. In the blink of an eye, he grew from a normal human form to a towering giant that was close to 100 meters tall. As his body expanded, his strength, vitality increased as well. He even had a vague feeling that even if he didn't use the 49 Great Derivation Sword Qi, he would be able to shatter space with just a single punch of his physical strength. If he descended on Earth with this body, he would be able to shatter the Earth with a diameter of over 10,000 kilometers with a single punch. Chapter 798. Divine True Body. A human's divine true body. Xing Hui sensed the extremely vigorous flow of qi and blood in his body and sighed inwardly. Humans really can't be compared to divine beasts in terms of innate talent. Although my physique has reached the 16th level and my life essence is comparable to divine beasts, even the weakest 16th level divine beast can defeat me in a fight purely based on physique. It was like a sheep and a wolf of the same size. If the two were to fight, even 10 sheep would not be a match for one wolf. I wonder if I can transform into a 18th level divine beast after my physique reaches the 16th level. Xing Hui was looking forward to it. When a divine beast reached the 18th level, its strength was also quite exaggerated compared to a divine beast at the 17th level. Although it was not at the level of the unhindered realm, it was easy for a divine beast of the 18th level to kill 20 to 30 divine beasts of the 17th level. Let's give it a try. Xing Hui took out the ancient god world and put himself in it. He then took out a drop of the 18th level golden crow's blood. In the true Sun Great World, the blood of divine beasts between the 13th and 18th levels was not difficult to obtain. The price of 10 drops was only about 1 Tao rhyme. After all, when a top world creation expert fought with a divine beast of the 18th level, he could injure the divine beasts and cause them to shed a lot of blood. Blood was different from essence blood. Once some was lost, it could be quickly replenished. Those top divine beasts might not care too much about it. Therefore, he did not feel that it was a pity to waste a drop of the 18th level golden crow's blood. To be safe, Xing Hui first activated the backtrack technique and divine technique, then used the chaos technique to enhance the transformation technique. He only activated the transformation technique after he was fully prepared. As the transformation technique was activated, a terrifying power suddenly erupted with the drop of the 18th level golden crow's blood as the center. A blazing and violent torrent of destruction swept out from Xing Hui's body. In an instant, Xing Hui's body almost exploded. At the same time as this power erupted, Xing Hui's body also expanded wildly, directly from 100 meters in the state of the divine true body to 4,000 meters. If he spread his wings, he could reach 10,000 meters. Unfortunately, before Xing Hui could fully extend his wings and feel the terrifying power of the level 18 divine beast golden crow, the pain of his body collapsing had already engulfed his entire body. The next moment, his body was like an illusory sand sculpture. After a slight solidification, it collapsed and vanished into thin air. 10 breaths later, a figure appeared out of thin air. It was none other than Xing Hui, who had used the backtrack technique to come back to life. 1/10 of a breath. Xing Hui couldn't help but shake his head as he recalled the details of his transformation into the rank 18 golden crow. It was too short. Time was too short. 1/10 of a breath's time was of no use at all. After all, after he transformed into the divine beast golden crow, he needed a process to use the power of the divine beast golden crow. It was a process similar to a nervous reaction. During this process, 1/10 of a breath's time would most likely be wasted. Although I can't maintain the form of a level 18 divine beast, but at least I can transform into a level 18 divine beast. This is the greatest improvement. Xing Hui's face had a trace of relief. Right now, his 3 attributes, essence, energy, and spirit, were far from the 180 value that represented a level 18 divine beast. Being able to transform into a level 18 divine beast was all thanks to the continuous consumption of the dragonification fruit. Otherwise, whether or not he could successfully transform into a level 18 divine beast would be a problem, even if it was only for an instant. The dragonification fruit won't be able to ripen in a short period of time. Then, if I want to extend the time I can transform into a level 18 divine beast, on one hand, I have to buy dark wilderness chi as soon as possible and use it to refine my body. On the other hand, I have to consume enough Dao fruits to strengthen my mental strength. If my mental strength can reach level 180 and above, then the time I can take to transform into a level 18 divine beast will be extended by a lot. As long as I have a breath's time, I can turn the tides of many battles. When he thought of this, Tsing Hui used the one qi into 3 purities to leave a replica in Griffin Castle, while his true body used the shadowless dance to silently sneak out of the fortress. The best way to quickly increase his mental strength was to continuously refine Dao fruits. As long as he had enough Dao fruits, he might even be able to reach level 190, let alone level 180. Although the reigning realm experts of Griffin Castle had extraordinary cultivation and keen senses, they were still a little lacking compared to Tsing Hui, who had the shadowless stance and a comprehension of the great Tao that wasn't any weaker than an expert of world creation with a thought. After silently sneaking out of the fortress, he relied on the spirit wanderer control art and the aura gazing art to predict the enemy's movements time and time again, locking onto their positions and even determining their strength. This was the difference between purely cultivating one's strength and taking into account multiple aspects of development. Although the divine beast bloodline cultivation system wasn't weak, it was simple and violent. On the other hand, the various immortal arts passed down from the immortal Tao civilization were strange and unpredictable. Although they weren't very powerful, at certain critical moments, they could be far more useful than one's innate talent. After wandering around the battlefield for a while, a group led by a conqueror and supported by 4 divine true bodies experts entered the range of Qing Su's aura examination technique. "You're the one." After locking onto his target, he quickly sneaked toward the team of 5. When he got close, he summoned the ancient divine world's lightning and instantly enveloped the 5 of them, transforming into a 5th-level divine true body golden crow. With the ancient divine world capable of blocking the attacks of reigning realm experts, Tsing Hui no longer had to worry about the enemy escaping. As such, transforming into a golden crow with the most destructive power and the ability to assist in solar flare, solar burst, and solar eclipse was clearly the best choice. Enemy attack. Golden Crow. Divine Beast Golden Crow. Marquis Blood Jade once told us that a reigning realm divine beast Kuan Peng is roaming the void battlefield and warned us to be careful. But now, it seems that there's also a divine beast Golden Crow. What divine beast attack? Can't you see that we're trapped in the ancient divine world? The ancient divine world must have been summoned by humans, which means that the legendary divine beast Kuan Peng and the divine beast Golden Crow in front of us were domesticated by humans. They're the enemies of the true martial empire. Quick, send a distress signal. The 5 of them quickly reacted and shouted. The divine true body experts immediately manifested their true bodies. Immediately, massive creatures several hundred meters tall appeared out of thin air, their ferocious and violent auras soaring into the sky. "You're just turtles in a jar." Tsing Hui's expression was calm. With his physique at level 16, he still didn't think much of ordinary divine true body experts. He swept his gaze across the 5 of them and waved his hand at the only reigning realm expert in the team. The Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit transformed into a strange creature that was half golden crow and half torch dragon. "Scarlet Abyss, go. Let me see the difference between you and a reigning realm expert." Roar. The Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit let out a roar similar to that of a torch dragon and pounced toward the reigning realm expert. "This is Golden Crow. Torch Dragon. A nondescript monster." The reigning realm expert's expression changed, but he didn't retreat. Instead, he faced the attack head-on. At the same time, his divine true body appeared, turning into a 300-meter-tall giant. Engulfed in flames, he charged toward the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit. Behind him, the phantom of a fire phoenix appeared. This was an expert who had cultivated to the reigning realm using the sacred beast phoenix. The divine true body realm could be divided into 4 forms. At the 4th form, the cultivator and human became one, and it was almost impossible to see the difference between the divine beast and the cultivator. At the reigning realm, the energy in the cultivator's body would take another step forward, and their understanding of the laws would reach an extremely profound level. They could rely on their own body to travel through spatial storms. Whether it was the form or the total amount of energy, they were all above some half-human, half-beast divine true body experts. The reigning realm expert in front of him was like this. Even if he maintained his human form, when he punched out, flames would still sputter out. If these flames were in true Sun Great World, they would definitely form a blazing volcano that burned dozens or even hundreds of kilometers, turning that area into glass. Unfortunately, this time, he encountered the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit that possessed the power of the Golden Crow. Although the power of the Phoenix was strong, in front of the power of the Golden Crow, its flame advantage was mostly offset. Coupled with the various talents that the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit possessed, in an instant, the difference between the two was obvious. Facing the blazing power of the flames, the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit's huge body took a step forward, then aimed at the reigning realm expert and grabbed at the air. When it grabbed at the reigning realm expert, the power of the glorious sun sword condensed in its palm and exploded, instantly shattering the phoenix power that the reigning realm expert had summoned. Then, the sword of the glorious sun appeared behind the sword of the glorious sun. The controllable fusion made it so that the sword of the glorious sun that the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit had summoned didn't waste a single bit of its energy. It immediately swept over and quickly drowned the reigning realm expert. Just as the reigning realm expert sensed that the situation was unfavorable and wanted to retreat, the sword of Eclipse had already transformed in the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit's hand and forcefully pulled him over. He could only directly resist the sword of the glorious sun and the sword of the glorious sun's almost eternal power bombardment. Seeing this scene, Xing Hui immediately felt confident. The Scarlet Abyss sword spirit may not be as strong as most reigning realm experts in terms of energy intensity, but it has mastered the ultimate killing moves of the sword of the glorious sun, the sword of the glorious sun, the sword of the glorious sun, the sword of the eclipse, and the sword of the black sun. It's like a transcendent realm expert awakening a great transcendent power. Even if its energy intensity is lacking, it can rely on the advantage of its transcendent power to forcefully make up for it. With these methods, it should be considered one of the best in the reigning realm. Not good, the Vice Fort Master can't defeat that monster. Let's attack and assist the Vice Fort Master. Only by defeating that monster can we hope to break out of the ancient god realm and escape with our lives. When the remaining 4 divine true body experts saw that their Vice Fort Master was actually at a disadvantage, their huge divine true bodies quickly swept up a majestic power and charged at the Scarlet Abyss sword spirit. This is Scarlet Abyss's battle. As for your opponents, Xing Hui pointed at the air, and 49 rays of sword energy, each of which was not inferior to a divine true body expert's attack, quickly appeared. It's me. Chapter 799. 48 of the 49 sword chis formed into a sword formation that surrounded 3 of the 4 divine true body experts. The power of each of these sword chis was not inferior to a strike from a divine true body expert. Although they could not compare to the full power of a divine true body expert's innate ability, if the sword formation was included, they were not inferior to a divine true body expert's innate ability by much. It was as if 48 divine true body experts were attacking 3 of them with all their might. Let alone divine true body experts of the same level, even a top expert of the traversal realm would die without a doubt if they were trapped in this attack. Xing Hui held a blood-red sword chis that turned into a sharp sword. He stared at the expert who had manifested the Qiongqi true body and said, "Right now, your only chance is to defeat me. Perhaps by threatening me, you can save the lives of your team." A hint of fear and anger flashed in the eyes of the man who had manifested the Cheongqi true body. In the end, he growled, "Since that's the case, let me see what you're capable of." The Cheongqi was a legendary ferocious beast. It was similar to a tiger and had a pair of wings on its back. The Cheongqi true body that the man had manifested had inherited the wings, claws, and spiked tail of the Cheongqi ferocious beast. It maintained its human form and looked as if it had two pairs of arms. With a roar, the Cheongqi beast, which was more than 200 meters long and had a wingspan of more than 300 meters, quickly pounced at Xing Hui. As it ran, violent energy surged on its body, mixed with a ferocious and bloody aura that was vast and mighty enough to suffocate an ordinary person. "Let me see the difference between your true body in human form and your true body in holy beast form," Xing Hui said as his body also expanded. In the blink of an eye, he grew into a behemoth that was 98 meters long and nearly 100 meters tall. However, compared to the Cheongqi true body of the enemy in front of him, his gigantic body that was only 100 meters long was like a child. It was not just a little bit inferior. The form of a divine beast has been completely refined. Peak of the divine true body stage. No. The body of an expert at the peak of the divine true body stage is at least 400 meters tall. Some of the best can even make their bodies reach 500 meters or even 600 meters, but your true body is not even 100 meters tall. The man who had manifested the Cheongqi true body was originally filled with fear of Xing Hui, but when he saw that Xing Hui's trump card was only a divine true body that was less than 100 meters long, his eyes immediately lit up. The next moment, without waiting for Xing Hui to summon the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit, he roared and flapped his wings. He did not even give Xing Hui the chance to summon the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit. He let out a roar as he flapped his wings, causing a terrifying spatial storm space. And four hands is attacking Xing Hui. Divine S's. Qing Su bellowed out, and the surging power within him condensed wildly. The blood-red sword in his hand immediately swelled, receiving the claw of the Cheongqi true body. Bang! The moment the blood-red longsword and the sharp claw collided, a ripple visible to the naked eye burst out from the center of the collision. If the place where the two of them were fighting at this time was the true sun great world, a pitch-black black hole would definitely appear and then explode in a few seconds, compressing the surrounding airflow and forming a strong atmospheric pressure that swept across a radius of several hundred kilometers. This pressure would even further expand and spread out, and then spread out to more than 1,000 kilometers away, exterminating all living things within this range. The void battlefield was lacking in materials, and what appeared before everyone's eyes were only circles of invisible ripples. It was like a stone thrown into a transparent lake, not causing any wind or waves. The only thing that could be considered a wind or wave was Xing Hui himself. The moment the divine true body's beast's true body attacked the blood-red sword, a terrifying force as heavy as Mount Tai continuously bombarded Xing Hui's body through the blood-red sword. That force was several times stronger than his and had the potential to completely shatter his body into powder. He was forced to detonate the blood-red sword in his hand at the first moment to break the transmission of the force. At the same time, it also bombarded the divine true body's body, causing his following attacks to be slightly delayed and unable to follow up with another attack. The difference in energy level is too great. Xing Hui immediately understood the difference in strength between himself and this man who had manifested the divine true body. At this moment, facing this man who had manifested the divine true body was like a mortal facing a fierce tiger. If this mortal was really an extremely ordinary mortal, then his only fate would be to be killed and devoured by the fierce tiger. If he wanted to reverse the situation, he had to display his talent. He had to display his talent as a human. Mortal, could they fight against a fierce tiger? 99% of mortals were powerless, but if it was a martial artist who had achieved great success with the body of a mortal, and a martial artist who had achieved great success in the martial way. Even if his physique was ultimately unable to break through the limits of the human body, he could still reverse the shackles of the difference in life levels. The Divine True Body stage, Xing Hui felt the greatest change in his transformation to the Divine True Body stage, essence, energy and spirit. His core was his own essence, energy and spirit. All of his means would revolve around his essence, energy and spirit. Then, his method of attack was naturally no exception. Buzz buzz. The blood-red sword that was faintly dispersing once again condensed in Xing Hui's hand. As the divine true body pounced down again, his figure flashed, and the blood-red sword in his hand avoided the trajectory of the divine true body's attack. At an unbelievable angle, the sword sliced through the divine true body's arm, zap. It was like a soldering iron slicing through boiling lava. Blazing yuan qi burst forth when the blood-red sword collided with the divine true body, directly tearing a 10-meter-long gash under the divine true body's arm. Despite being severely injured, the divine true body's attack did not change. The other two hands formed a fist technique that was as heavy as Mount Tai, and completely sealed off the space Xing Hui could dodge. Die! Rumble! The thunderous fist landed heavily on the blood-red sword that Xing Hui had used to block at the first moment. The explosive power, along with ripples of collapse, brazenly shattered the blood-red sword that was completely formed from the power of qi and blood, turning into streaks of blood that sputtered in all directions. And the penetrating power also passed through the shattered blood-red sword and continued to bombard Xing Hui's body. Suddenly, Xing Hui's divine true body was directly blasted apart by this mighty and terrifying power, and the huge figure of nearly 100 meters was also sent flying an unknown distance in one breath. Go to hell! The man who had manifested the divine true body roared. The wings on his back flapped as he chased after Xing Hui's flying figure, wanting to take advantage of the fact that Xing Hui was suppressed by him to destroy him in one fell swoop. Sword, come! The divine true body shook as Xing Hui roared. Out of the 48 blood-red swords that surrounded the 3 divine true body experts, 10 of them whizzed out at the same time. Before the 10 blood-red swords had even landed in Qing Su's hands, they had already fused into one. Surging vital energy radiated from the swords as he swung them towards the Qiongqi true body, directly colliding with the Qiongqi true body's lightning-quick fist technique. However, unlike last time, the blood-red swords in Xing Hui's hands had merged into one. Compared to the previous blood-red sword, it was more than just a little bit more powerful. When the sword collided with the divine true body, the divine true body's fist seemed to have smashed into refined steel. His entire arm was torn apart by the sword qi contained within the blood-red sword. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the blood-red sword in Xing Hui's hand trembled violently, splitting into 3. 3 streaks of sword qi shot towards the divine true body like shooting stars. Shatter! In the face of these 3 streaks of light, the man who had manifested the divine true body roared. His remaining 3 arms quickly grabbed the 3 streaks of sword qi and crushed them. Although he had paid the price of having 3 of his arms torn apart by the blood-red sword qi, he was able to break apart Xing Hui's attack while controlling his nimble tail to whip Xing Hui's body. Compared to the divine true body that was nearly 300 meters long, this tail could only be considered normal size. However, to Xing Hui, who was only 100 meters long, it was like a giant hammer. When the power of the whip exploded, Xing Hui's divine true body was sent flying into the air, smashing backwards like a cannonball. If it had been a human body of flesh and blood, this kind of shock and injury would have been enough to shatter his organs and kill him on the spot. Unfortunately, the divine true body was not a pure form of flesh and blood. The core of its power was the power of blood and qi. Xing Hui, whose divine true body was on the verge of collapse, took a deep breath. The remaining power of blood and qi from the 3 streaks of blood-red sword qi that had been torn apart by the divine true body was directly swallowed by him to replenish his body. Not long after, his divine true body, which was on the verge of collapse, had recovered by more than half. However, his opponent, the divine true body of the Qiong Qi, was also in a similar state. With the replenishment of energy, his divine true body was also rapidly recovering. The wound on his hand healed, and his 4 arms were also rapidly growing back. It was just that his size had shrunk by 1/10 compared to before. Divine beasts and divine beasts have their own divine abilities and talents. Humans also have their own combat skills. However, my physique has only reached the divine true body level for a short period of time. Coupled with the fact that I have to use the great expansion sword Qi to kill other opponents, my own power of blood and Qi has been weakened. Even if I rely on my swordsmanship and martial skills, I can only fight on par with a divine true body cultivator. In the end, I can only rely on a battle of attrition to determine life and death. Xing Hui concluded and understood the level at which he relied solely on the strength of his physique. However, considering that most of the power of the great expansion sword Qi originated from his physique and mind, overall, his combat strength should not be inferior to any reigning realm expert. If he factored in the advantage brought by the Son of Chaos, suppressing a reigning realm expert would not be difficult. Then, your sparring session ends here. As soon as Xing Hui finished speaking, the 3 divine true body experts were finally unable to block the unceasing attacks of the 38 streaks of blood-red sword Qi. Their true bodies collapsed, and they were all heavily injured. As the 3 divine true body experts were defeated, Xing Hui waved his hand, and the remaining blood-red swords swept out like a bloody storm toward the man who had manifested the divine true body. No! The man cried out in unwillingness when he saw the blood-red sword Qi coming at him. He frantically tried to attack Xing Hui, but unfortunately, sword Qi filled the air. The divine true body of the divine true body, which had been able to put up a good fight against him not long ago, could not last for more than a few moments under the assault of the blood-red sword array before completely collapsing. In the blink of an eye, the 4 divine true body experts were captured. Chapter 800. This battle could be said to have ended as soon as it began. With Xing Hui's current strength, he might not be able to take down a battle fort head-on, but if he were to pull out the experts in the fort, he would be able to take down 3 or 4 maverick lords and vice lords, as well as hundreds of divine true body experts at the same time, let alone 1 maverick realm expert and 4 maverick realm experts. The main purpose of this battle was to give Xing Hui a better understanding of his own strength. After all, the transformation art was an external force. Xing Hui could already sense that the various characteristics of the Son of Chaos were merely amplifications brought about by the radiation of the Supreme Master of Chaos's power. Once he left the range of the Master of Chaos's power, the various characteristics of the Son of Chaos would no longer be of any use to him. The ancient divine world, which contained a trace of the Master of Time's power, had already appeared. Would there be any lack of similar things in the future? Perhaps, the Master of Chaos might bestow some top-notch experts with treasures that could strengthen the senses of the Chaos Temple, allowing them to resist the interference of items similar to the ancient divine world. But would he dare to take such things? Would he dare to expose himself to the Master of Chaos with the creation jade? The answer was obvious. This was also why he did not spend his efforts on increasing the level of the chaos despite having so many Dao-carrying items. Instead, he constantly strengthened himself. Only by strengthening himself could he respond to any threat he encountered. Strengthening himself was just the beginning. Next, he had to temper his spirit power and unearth the potential in his body. Cultivators had essence, energy, and spirit. The physique represented essence, and the spirit represented spirit. There was also the power of Qi that he had never truly grasped. Currently, he was using the power of blood and Qi to replace the role of Qi, but this was clearly not the correct method. Right now, he already had a vague idea of Qi in his mind. What was the 5th sword after the Black Sun sword? What kind of changes would occur after a black hole devoured enough energy? It would become the most basic point of singularity between heaven and earth. And then, through this singularity, it would erupt and evolve into a world. However, he had yet to perfect these ideas, and he still had a long way to go. Perhaps, in the technological world that the Master of Time focused on, he would be able to find an answer that satisfied him. With that thought in mind, Xing Hui, who had captured the 4 divine true body cultivators, once again turned his gaze to the battle between the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit and the reigning Realm Expert. The strength of the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit itself was slightly weaker than that of the Reconqueror Realm Expert, but it could not stop it from accurately mastering the series of sword techniques that Xing Hui had developed: Sun Glory, Sun Burst, Solar Eclipse, and Black Sunday. The power of the Gold Crow and the Torch Dragon were unleashed to the extreme in its hands. Relying on these innate divine abilities, the situation between the two of them was instantly reversed. After an intense battle, the reigning Realm Expert was already in imminent danger, and it was only a matter of time before he was completely defeated and killed by the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit. Very good. Xing Hui nodded slightly, quite satisfied with the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit's performance. Just as he planned to continue watching the battle between the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit and the reigning Realm Expert, he vaguely sensed something and turned his gaze, using the aura examination technique to see through the horizon. Not long after, another team led by 2 reigning Realm Experts and 8 divine true body experts appeared in his field of vision. Clearly, this team was formed by the merger of 2 teams. It seems like there should be some kind of connection between these teams. Now that this team has been out of contact for some time, the other team couldn't get in touch with him. That's why they quickly came in this direction to find out what happened. Qing Su glanced past the 10 incoming enemies. With a wave of his hand, strands of blood-red sword chi rapidly condensed. Alright, that's enough. Scarlet Abyss, you and I will work together and take him down. With that, the blood-colored sword chi formed into a sword formation and shot towards the reigning Realm Expert. The reigning Realm Expert, who was already in a precarious situation, was killed by the sword formation formed by the blood-colored sword chi. How could he resist? In an instant, the reigning Realm Expert was torn to pieces by the sword chi. Before he could forcefully condense the dissipating power of his divine true body, Xing Hui's blossoming flower had already enveloped his body. Accompanied by a 7-colored brilliance that flowed in all directions, a Dao fruit had already condensed from the brilliance. After putting away the Dao fruit, Xing Hui once again put away the Scarlet Abyss Sword and the ancient God Realm. Then, he activated his transformation technique, and a Kuan Peng divine beast at the peak of the reigning realm quickly appeared from the void. Right now, he could maintain the reigning realm divine beast Kuan Peng for thousands or even tens of thousands of breaths. In other words, it would not be difficult for him to maintain it for several hours. Moreover, as he broke through to the divine true body realm in his human form, his perception of the laws became even sharper. In addition, he had a comprehension of the laws that was not inferior to a top mighty figure at the realm of thought. With all these advantages, his combat strength was not inferior to a divine beast Kuan Peng with innate divine abilities. As he spread his wings, the laws of space automatically retreated between his wings. A portion of the power of laws even supported himself, pushing Xing Hui up, allowing him to attack the team formed by 2 reigning realm experts and 8 divine true body realm experts at an even faster speed. His speed was unbelievably fast. Divine Beast Kuan Peng. It's the reigning realm expert that has been hunting on this battlefield. It hasn't left the battlefield yet. Bastard, you dare to bully my Scarlet Sun Empire time and time again. Do you really think there's no one in my Scarlet Sun Empire? Everyone, let's form a battle formation and trap it. At the same time, send a message to King Heavenly Eagle, who has been ordered to come here. With King Heavenly Eagle taking action, it won't be difficult to kill this evil beast. Seeing this divine beast Kuan Peng, although the 10 people were shocked, after the shock, they were even more furious. A reigning realm divine beast was naturally not something the 10 of them could resist, but with 2 reigning realm experts leading the team and relying on the power of the divine art, it was not difficult for them to hold on for more than 10 breaths. Moreover, there was a top mighty figure at the realm of thought overseeing the void battlefield. As long as they could send the news out in time and ask King Heavenly Eagle to take action, this reigning realm Kunpeng would definitely become a turtle in a jar. I'll enter the Chaos Temple and contact King Heavenly Eagle to ask him to take action. One of the divine true body elders in the group shouted in a low voice and immediately tried to sense the Chaos Temple to ask for help. However, before he could really sense where the Chaos Temple was, a spatial enchantment suddenly enveloped them. In the next moment, the Chaos Temple, which he could clearly sense earlier, quickly became blurry. In the blink of an eye, there was no trace of it left. It was as if he had been beaten to the ground overnight and lost his identity as the Son of Chaos. I can't sense the Chaos Temple. This is the ancient divine world. It's the ancient divine world. The ancient divine world. This ancient godly world is too sturdy. It's made up of at least 3 fragments. We won't be able to break it in such a short time. This divine beast Kunpeng didn't just pass by this battlefield to hunt for food. It was tamed by another top almighty. A tamed divine beast Kunpeng that controls 3 fragments of the ancient divine world. How strong is the cultivator who tamed this divine beast Kunpeng? Being enveloped by the ancient divine world, the 10 experts inside were in despair. There was no suspense in the battle that followed. Xing Hui, who had transformed into the divine beast Kunpeng and summoned the sword spirit of deep qi, used only 20 breaths to completely defeat the 2 reigning realm experts and 10 divine true body experts trapped in the ancient divine world. If he had not wanted to capture these people alive, the time taken would have been shortened to less than 10 breaths. The ancient divine world is indeed the most suitable treasure for me. I have to thank King Hunyuan properly. If he had not sent it to the ancient divine world in time, I would not have been able to kill these reigning realm and divine true body cultivators so freely in the void battleground. Xing Hui had a faint smile on his face. He had to admit that King Hunyuan was a good person. His contributions were enough to shorten the gap between himself and the one thought realm at an extremely fast speed. Time passed quickly. During this period of time, the Qiyang Empire was in a difficult situation in the void battleground. Due to the death of King Hunyuan, the Crimson Sun Empire was furious. They added a new Grand Duke to the area where King Dragon Sparrow was stationed. This Grand Duke brought a total of 26 battle fortresses with him. Together with King Tianying and his 16 battle fortresses, the Crimson Sun Empire formed a huge lineup of 2 one-thought realms and 40 battle fortresses. They wanted to defeat King Dragon Sparrow, who was guarding this area. However, before the 2 reigning realm experts could attack the Dragon Sparrow King, the teams disappeared one by one. This slightly affected the offensive of King Tianying and Duke Qianding, who had come to reinforce the void battleground. However, considering that the war was imminent, they did not take it to heart. Instead, they continued to deploy their troops and prepare for this retaliatory counterattack. However, in the short span of half a year, 8 teams had disappeared. A total of 8 reigning realm experts and 50 divine true body experts had disappeared. The 2 experts at the realm of world creation with a thought finally realized the seriousness of the matter. They had no choice but to divert a portion of their energy to deal with the Kunpeng divine beast that was constantly hunting in the void battlefield. Unfortunately, in the following year, although the 2 boundary realm experts tried their best to set up all kinds of traps to lure the divine beast Kunpeng into taking the bait, the divine beast Kunpeng did not fall for it. Instead, it lost another 3 traversing realm experts and more than 30 divine true body realm experts. This was equivalent to the battle strength of 3 fortresses. If it were not for someone who noticed the abnormality at the critical moment and inferred that it was related to the ancient divine world fragment, the 2 reigning realm experts would have been in an even more passive situation. The ancient divine world fragment was naturally related to human cultivators. Then, thinking that the reigning realm and divine true body experts who had fallen were all from the Qiyang Empire, the two reigning realm experts immediately turned their attention to the Dragon Sparrow King. Now that he had a target, locked down the area, and purposefully sent out reigning realm experts who were skilled in observation, speed, trapping formations and so on, Qing Su's days immediately became rather difficult. After all, the Qiyang Empire had invested 40 battle fortresses into the void battleground, while the true martial empire only had 14. The difference in numbers was too great. In the end, Tsing Hui had no choice but to temporarily stop venturing out and go into seclusion to refine the many fruits of Tao he'd harvested during this time. Chapter 801. Another round of dragonization fruit ripening. Just a little bit more, Qing Su looked at the dragonization fruit tree in his personal space that had been emptied out again. He was unwilling to accept this. He already felt that the chance to transform his life was right in front of him. Once he transformed, he would immediately experience a qualitative change from the inside out. But for some reason, he was still a little bit short and could not take that crucial step. This gap was not because he did not have enough dragonization fruit, but because Tao was different. He had awakened the Golden Crow bloodline and the Torch Dragon bloodline, but in order to maintain the purity of his sword intent, he had already stripped away these two bloodlines. Now, in terms of cultivation system and bloodline level, he was a simple human. As for humans, to obtain the life essence of a divine beast, it was too difficult. If he still maintained the bloodline cultivation system of the Gold Crow and the Torch Dragon, he could use his own cultivation system to transform himself into a real Gold Crow or Torch Dragon, which would give him the same talents and abilities as the divine beasts. Unfortunately, he did not. The Kun Peng's talent lies in speed, the Golden Crow's talent lies in high temperature, the Hun Dun's talent lies in defense, and the Qilin's talent lies in luck. Rather than calling these talents, it is better to call them the various great Daos that are passed down in the chaotic divine realm. Tsing Hui had a vague understanding. This was perhaps the ultimate reason why his life essence could not break through to the divine beast level. If he had chosen the bloodline of a divine beast and followed it to the end, at this moment, he would have obtained the mysterious support of the power of the great Tao and naturally possessed the same life essence as a divine beast. Unfortunately, he did not, so even after refining so many dragonization fruits, he was still limited to the level of a divine beast's life essence. At this stage, the number of dragonization fruits no longer mattered. Tao, there are 18 great Daos in the chaotic divine realm. Although many of these 18 great Daos have been passed down to this day and have been lost, there are still many great Daos that have survived. In the territories of the King of Gods and the King of Time, there are also great Daos that belong to them. Different great Daos lead to different cultivation directions and create different cultivation systems. Tsing Hui focused his attention on the creation jade. Immortal Tao civilization, there were 3,000 great Daos. Perhaps, he could choose one of the great Daos and evolve it. In the end, he could transform his body into the Tao. The 3,000 great ways originated from ancient myths and legends, so there is no way to verify them. However, since Earth is the source world that everyone talks about, then the 3,000 great ways must not be groundless. I will use the fortune jade to deduce a great way that suits me. When the great way that belongs to me is born, it will definitely be the time that my life essence advances to that of a divine beast. Thinking of this, Tsing Hui activated the Fortune Jade. Not only could the Fortune Divine Jade deduce supreme immortal arts, it could also deduce other divine abilities and mystic arts. However, its effect was much weaker than these immortal arts. Tsing Hui guessed that it had something to do with the characteristics of the Fortune Divine Jade. The Fortune Divine Jade recorded the 3,000 great ways, so the range that it could deduce could only include the 3,000 great ways. Therefore, the effects of deducing divine abilities that were not part of the 3,000 great ways would naturally be unsatisfactory. However, Tsing Hui planned to use himself as the foundation and use the fortune divine jade to deduce a great way that completely belonged to him and was compatible with him. Then, he would nurture and evolve it. The difficulty of this was probably lower than creating something out of nothing, so there should still be some hope. With that thought in mind, Tsing Hui glanced at the empty Dao fruit in his personal space. It had been more than a year since he went into seclusion. He had naturally refined all the Dao fruits he had obtained a year ago, and the obvious advantage it brought was that his spiritual level had finally rushed to the 180th level. Now, it had stabilized at the 181st level. At this stage, if he wanted to increase his spiritual level again, he would need to spend dozens of Dao auras. If it weren't for the fact that a few of the Dao fruits were condensed by traversing realm experts, his current spiritual level would probably only be able to maintain at the 180th level. The Dao fruit had been exhausted, but the situation in the void battlefield was not stable. He did not dare to act rashly and could only continue to lie low. At the same time, he waited for the fortune divine jade to deduce the great way that was compatible with him. Rumble. Just as Qing Su was waiting for time to pass quietly, a deafening rumble suddenly rang out from the surroundings. Along with it was a violent tremor that seemed like the world was collapsing. This is, enemy attack. Before Tsing Hui could sense the changes in the outside world, a wave of panicked and angry shouts resounded throughout the entire fortress. Griffin Marquis, today is the day you die. Not only will you die, but in this battle, all the territories under the Dragon Sparrow King's jurisdiction will be uprooted by us. At that moment, a loud roar came from outside the Void Fortress. At the same time, there was an even more intense tremor, as well as a majestic aura that soared into the sky. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Tsing Hui was finally able to use the aura-gazing art to scan his surroundings. When he did, his expression changed. Traversing Realm. A total of 10 Traversing Realm experts. As for Divine True Body experts, there were as many as 200 or 300 of them. Even if this force directly attacked the Griffin Marquis' Void Fortress, it would be torn apart along with the fortress itself. Marquis Zicheng. The Griffin Marquis wants me to take you away immediately. Just as Tsing Hui was thinking about how to deal with the crisis before him, 2 Divine True Body experts quickly appeared beside Zicheng and pulled him away without any explanation. Our Griffin Castle is under attack by such a powerful force. Did we ask for outside help? Tsing Hui asked. It's no use. It's not just our Griffin Castle. The 14 fortresses under the Dragon Sparrow King's jurisdiction are under attack at the same time. Everyone can barely take care of themselves, so how could they spare enough strength to help us? Even the Dragon Sparrow King is currently being attacked by 3 world creation experts with a single thought. 3 world creation experts with a single thought. Weren't there only King Tianying and Duke Qianding? There's actually a 3rd world creation expert with a single thought. The people of the Scarlet Sun Empire are really angry this time. They've reached an agreement with the Flame River Empire to attack our true martial empire together. They're no longer maintaining the symbolic alliance like before. The Dragon Sparrow King's side has performed outstandingly in the past few years, and has become the focus of the Scarlet Sun Empire. Thus, they haven't sent any reinforcements. Now, we have no choice but to retreat and shrink the defensive line. The Divine True Body hurriedly explained, unwilling to say more. Now is not the time to talk. Let's save our lives and leave this place first. If we're not careful this time, I'm afraid the Griffin Marquis himself will fall on the battlefield. The battlefield was now shrouded by 3 world creation experts. Tsing Hui was confident that he was not weaker than any world creation expert. He could even deal with a dozen world creation experts by relying on the transformation technique and the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit. It would just take a lot of time. However, if his performance was too outstanding and he was targeted by one of the world creation experts with a single thought, it would be troublesome. Thus, it was better to retreat first. He did not believe that the true martial empire would be willing to continue living peacefully. As long as the true martial empire began to counterattack, the two sides would reach a balance again. He could then take advantage of the chaos to weaken the Scarlet Sun Empire. Let's go. Xing Hui quickly followed the two divine true body experts out of the Void Fortress and fled as fast as he could. Stop them. Want to escape? It's not that easy. Kill. As soon as Xing Hui and the other two appeared, a team of 10 divine true body experts immediately surrounded them. You're courting death. Marquis Zichen, let's turn back and deal with these 10 enemies. The two divine true body experts who left with Xing Hui immediately shouted angrily when they saw that a mere 10 people dared to chase after them. They knew very well that their Marquis' battle prowess was astonishing, and the two of them were well-known figures in the divine true body realm. It was not impossible for them to deal with 10 divine true body experts. We can't. The other divine true body expert said, let's retreat first. This place is still the core of the battlefield. If we erupt with too much battle prowess and attract the attention of stronger experts, it will be too late to retreat. Don't forget our duty. This. Fine. Protect the Marquis first. As the divine true body expert spoke, he finally left the battlefield and quickly flew towards the domain of the Empire of True Martial. This flight lasted for an entire day. However, the pursuers behind him persevered. Moreover, as time passed, the number of divine true body experts chasing after the three of them increased from 10 to 22, more than doubling. This time, even the other two divine true body experts could only keep their heads down and run, not daring to mention the matter of counterattacking. If I withdraw from the void battlefield this time, I'm afraid I won't have a chance to obtain the fruit of Tao in a short time. I'll just take these 22 people. With that, Qing Su did not move, but the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit broke free from his hands silently. In order to conceal the presence of the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit, Qing Su even specially worked together with the two divine true bodies experts to erupt with a burst of speed, shaking them off far away. As for whether the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit could deal with the 22 divine true body experts, this was not a question Xing Hui needed to consider at all. Xing Hui had refined many fruits of Tao during this time, and the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit had almost completely devoured all the energy produced by the fruits of Tao. The Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit's current energy might not have reached the peak of the 17th level, but it was not far off. Coupled with its battle prowess that was superior to those of the same level, it could even defeat a true divine true body expert, let alone 22 divine true body experts. By the time they had left the void battlefield and entered the sphere of influence of another Marquis, the Scarlet Abyss Sword Spirit had already returned. Xing Hui casually found an excuse to part ways with the two divine true body experts and quickly took in the 22 divine true body experts. In this regard, the two divine true body experts did not suspect anything. They had now left the main battlefield and would not be in any danger. In addition, Xing Hui's cultivation was high enough that he did not need their protection at all times. I'm afraid it's going to be another period of dormancy. I just don't know when this war will end. Qing Su said. He found an opportunity to leave the battlefield and directly entered the territory of the True Sun Great World's true martial empire. He made his way to his residence. Chapter 802. As a marquis conferred by the empire, Xing Hui naturally had a proper residence. His residence was not located in the capital, but in a manor not far from the capital. Although the location was not outstanding, it was quite large, spanning over 100 kilometers. Inside, there were housekeepers, guards, and servants. Everything was available. When Qing Su arrived at the estate, the Great Pure One, Qing Su, who had been watching over the place the entire time, had completed his mission. He nodded at Qing Su before dispersing. Xing Hui summoned the housekeeper of the Marquis residence. This housekeeper was called Zichen Yun. He was an old man who was extremely loyal to the Zichen family and was given the surname Zichen. He had served the Zichen family for generations, and was someone that his father, Zichen Lai, had specially arranged to help him manage the affairs of the marquis residence. Zichen Yun's cultivation was not very high. He was in the shattering void realm like Tuoba Changkong, but whether it was in terms of management, execution, or experience, he was far superior to Tuoba Changkong. After all, one was only the grand elder of a second-rate sect, while the other was a management talent that was specially nurtured by a dukedom. The two could not be compared on the same platform. After entering the marquis residence, Tsing Hui suddenly had a lot of free time. He was used to cultivating by leaps and bounds. He was not used to the tortoise-like speed of cultivation by himself. After staying in the marquis mansion for a period of time, he decided to put most of his energy into the glorious land, collecting precious resources that could be used in the glorious land. Unfortunately, his path of cultivation had taken a wrong path. The things that were useful to him were either treasures that could temper his body or items that could increase his mind. The former was rare, while the latter was expensive. At the very least, with the fruit of Tao to increase his soul, Tsing Hui did not think that spending over 100 Daos to buy a treasure that could only increase his mind by a small level was a good deal. After half a month, he did not have many other things. However, he had collected some more crystal wood hearts and azure wood essence. The number of wood spirits in his personal space had exceeded 100. This time, Tsing Hui was strolling around the Chaos Temple as usual, collecting some useful information. However, a figure that suddenly appeared in his personal space made him quickly divert his attention. Flying Fish Sword Saint. Looking at this man who could be said to be on friendly terms with him, Qing Su smiled, "It's been a while since I last saw you. Didn't you go to the Void Sword Pavilion with Bai Shuiying and the Lan Rui Sword Saint?" Grand Elder. The Flying Fish Sword Saint looked at Qing Su and said rather apologetically, "I've spent most of my energy on secluded cultivation recently, so I haven't paid much attention to the Chaos Divine Hall. As for the Void Sword Pavilion, with my talent, even if I go to the Void Sword Pavilion, I'll probably only be an extremely ordinary disciple. If that's the case, I might as well settle for the next best thing." Tsing Hui didn't answer. The Flying Fish Sword Saint was a sword saint in the divine realm in the Rainbow Sword sect, so he was indeed very talented. However, as he said, although his talent was good, he could only be regarded as ordinary in the Void Sword Pavilion, where geniuses were everywhere. Those who could be chosen and cultivated by the Void Sword Pavilion would all be figures who could cultivate the divine real body in the future. At that time, it would be easy for him to be like a fish in water, even if he couldn't dominate a place. "I haven't seen you for so many years. Your cultivation must have improved a lot." "Yes, I've broken through to the domain realm," the Flying Fish Sword Saint said. Calculating the time, they had been in this world for nearly 10 years. In 10 years, they had broken through from the transcendent realm to the domain realm. In true Sun Great World, this could be considered fast. However, considering that each of them had brought with them at least dozens of Dao aura-carrying items, this speed was not surprising. "You're looking for me this time, is there something you need?" "Well, there is indeed something I want to ask Grand Elder for help with." "Oh, there's no harm in asking. Grand Elder should know that I didn't go to the Void Sword Pavilion, but joined a first-class sect called the Crane Feather Sect." Tsing Hui nodded. The Crane Feather Sect was a very famous sect in the Zhongshuan continent. In its history, it had given birth to more than one world creation expert. Following the death of the previous world creation expert, the Crane Feather Sect hadn't given birth to any new world creation experts in the past 8,000 years. However, after hundreds of thousands of years of accumulation, the sect still had an extremely astonishing influence on the Zhongshuan continent. So far, the entire Crane Feather Sect was said to have more than 40 world creation experts, and more than 1,000 divine real body experts. The entire force occupied the Flying Stone Mountain range of the Zhongshuan continent and was very famous. Even those top world creation experts who had not yet stabilized their own little worlds dared not easily go against them. In the Crane Feather sect, I relied on my good talent to become a disciple of an elder of the divine real body stage. I also got to know a woman in the elder's family. Speaking of this, the Flying Fish Sword Saint seemed a little embarrassed. I and this woman, Hunyuan, are in love with each other. We have known each other for several years, and our feelings are already as strong as gold. It's to the point that we want to start a family and become Tao companions, but, this is a good thing, but what? The Flying Fish Sword Saint's face revealed a trace of bitterness. I'm only a small domain realm cultivator. I'm nothing in the entire Crane Feather sect. However, there's an inner sect deacon in Hunyuan's family. They can be considered a famous family in the Flying Stone Mountain range. When they found out that I wanted to become Tao companions with Hunyuan, their family tried to stop us in every way possible. Even though Hunyuan trusted her parents wholeheartedly, they were still unwilling to accept a penniless brat like me, inner sect deacon. Although Tsinghui didn't know much about the position system of the Crane Feather sect, he knew that the core of the Crane Feather sect was the senior elder society formed by more than 40 reigning realm experts. This inner sect deacon was second only to the 40 elders. He should be a cultivator of the divine real body stage. You mean, although Hunyuan's family tried every means to stop us, Hunyuan's attitude was firm. In the end, Hunyuan's family put forward a difficult request. Unless I can take out a betrothal gift worth 50 Daoist rhymes, otherwise Hunyuan will not be allowed to marry me, the Flying Fish Sword Saint said helplessly. Originally, although I didn't have many Daoist rhymes, I still had 60 or so. However, in order to cultivate, I spent a lot of money. Now, I have less than 10 Daoist rhymes. I really can't take out a betrothal gift worth 50 Daoist rhymes, so I'm looking for Grand Elder this time to borrow 40 Daoist rhymes from Grand Elder. You want to borrow the Daoist rhymes? Yes. The Flying Fish Sword Saint looked guilty. I really like Hunyuan. I hope Grand Elder can fulfill my wish. When Hunyuan and I return to the Divine Wilderness Great World in the future, we will definitely find a way to repay Grand Elder with these Daoist rhymes. 40 Daoist rhymes is not a small number in the Divine Wilderness Great World, let alone in the True Sun Great World. Do you really want to give 40 Daoist rhymes as a betrothal gift? You have to think carefully. Tsinghui asked again. I've thought it through. When the time comes, even if I have to spend my entire life, I will earn 40 Daoist rhymes and return it to Grand Elder. The Flying Fish Sword Saint said with a serious expression. Tsinghui pondered for a moment, but did not immediately agree. It was not that he was unwilling to part with 40 Daoist rhymes, but 60 Daoist rhymes has an astonishing purchasing power in the True Sun Great World. If you are willing to part with some and save money, it is enough for you to cultivate to the Shattering Void Realm, or even the Divine Real Body stage. Why are you only left with this in less than 10 years? Tell me, how did you spend these Daoist rhymes? This, the Flying Fish Sword Saint said with a hint of shame. I used most of the Daoist rhymes to buy innate divine rhymes. My cultivation is now at the peak of the domain realm. I just need to polish myself a little more and I will be able to reach the insightful emptiness realm. Apart from these, I also bought some divine weapons. Also, when I was dating Hunyuan, I spent a lot of Daoist rhymes to please her. Tsinghui looked at the Flying Fish Sword Saint. This Flying Fish Sword Saint could be said to be smart and loyal. But now, it seemed that he was not very reliable. After pondering for a moment, he said, this matter shouldn't be urgent, right? Wait for me for 3 months. I just happen to have some matters to attend to. 3 months later, I will give you an answer. How about it? 3 months, although the Flying Fish Sword Saint was a little anxious, he did not dare to go against Tsinghui's words. He hurriedly said, thank you, Grand Elder. Regardless of whether this matter succeeds or not, Flying Fish will be eternally grateful. Wait for my news. Xing Hui said, then left the Chaos Divine Palace and summoned steward Hunyuan. Marquis, what orders do you have for me? Hunyuan bowed respectfully. I want to inquire about the Crane Feather sect of the Tsangshuan continent. Do you have any channels, the Crane Feather sect of the Tsangshuan continent? Most of our Zichen family's spies are hidden in the Flame River Empire. As for the Tsangshuan continent, we only have spies among the top factions. So there's no other way? Xing Hui frowned. Hunyuan smiled and said, of course not. Every noble family has their own circle. The purpose of establishing a circle is to exchange what one needs. Although the Zichen family's strength is concentrated in the Flame River Empire, the focus of some of our allies may not be the same. What information does the Marquis want to inquire about? The Crane Feather sect and the Yun family are mainly targeting the Crane Feather sect's inner sect deacons, Yun Zhongshan, Yun Fengtai, and Yun Lian. Xing Hui said. Yun Zhongshan was the Crane Feather sect's inner sect deacon, while Yun Fengtai was Yun Lian's father. Please wait a moment, Marquis. If it's fast, it'll take 3 days. If it's slow, there will be news. Hunyuan acknowledged, then respectfully retreated. In reality, the news had come much faster than Qing Su had imagined, as the Yun family had unexpectedly made a fortune recently. It had attracted the attention of many people, so there were quite a lot of people paying attention to them. In less than half a day, the news regarding Yun Fengtai, Yun Zhongshan, Yun Lian, and so on had reached Qing Su. When Xing Hui saw the news clearly, his expression darkened slightly. Chapter 803. This Flying Fish. The Yun family took a liking to his Tao and toyed with him in the palm of their hands. When Xing Hui finished reading the report, he furrowed his brows. Then he entered the Primal Chaos Temple and called the Flying Fish Sword Saint over. He handed over the report Zichen had found. Take a look for yourself. This is the woman you've been constantly thinking about, wanting to become Tao companions with. The Flying Fish Sword Saint was surprised. He read through the information that Qing Su had passed to him, and very soon, his expression changed. There was a sliver of pain on his face. After a long while, he came to his senses. He gritted his teeth and said, although Yun Lian's father and elders bully me, I can tell from Yun Lian's actions that she has me in her heart. However, in order to get her family to acknowledge me, I had no choice but to use this stupid method to show them my worth and convince them to let her be with me. Xing Hui glanced at the Flying Fish Sword Saint strangely. To be able to reach the Divine Power Realm in an environment like the Divine Wilderness, the Flying Fish Sword Sage's intelligence should not be so low. Even if he considered the fact that love would lower his intelligence, he should still be able to see the true meaning of this message. This so-called Yun Lian. She was using him more than she liked him. As for why he said that, he was just deceiving himself. So what you're saying is that you still hope to borrow the item that carries the Tao from me and propose marriage to the Yun family? A hint of guilt appeared on the Flying Fish Sword Saint's face. He couldn't convince himself to lie in front of Xing Hui. After a long while, it was as if all of his vitality had been sucked out of him. He said listlessly, I want to see if Yun Lian will still agree to be with me without the item. I really don't want to lose her. Xing Hui looked at the Flying Fish Sword Saint. He seemed to understand something. It seems that part of your love for this so-called Yun Lian is also part of your unwillingness to fail, right? The Flying Fish Sword Saint fell silent. Then it's simple. I'll just go straight to your door and kidnap Yun Lian for you. When the Flying Fish Sword Saint heard this, he immediately said, this. How can I let the Supreme Elder take such a risk? You just don't want me to be in danger, not because you're worried that Yun Lian will hate you. In that case, it seems like you really do have an unreconciled mentality causing mischief. The Flying Fish Sword Saint lowered his head in guilt. Then, it's settled. I'll go and get him. Supreme Elder, the Yun clan is a member of the upper echelons of the Crane Feather sect, and Yun Zhongshan is even an inner court deacon of the Crane Feather sect. He possesses a high position and authority, and if Supreme Elder were to head there rashly, I'm afraid, all of you were able to break through 1 or 2 levels to reach the Grand Dominion realm or even the dimension-shattering realm. I have even more Dao-bearing treasures with me, so how could my cultivation not have improved at all? Moreover, I don't necessarily need to go there personally. Alright, just leave this matter to me. With that, Tsing Hui said indifferently, this woman and her family deceived you, so they naturally have to pay the price for what they did. Moreover, you do have some thoughts about her, so you might as well let her use the rest of her life to repay the Dao-bearing treasures she swindled from you. As for other matters, I won't interfere too much. Just treat this as a lesson for you. You are right, Grand Elder. The Flying Fish Sword Saint lowered his head and agreed. He didn't dare to go against Tsing Hui's words. Wait for my news. With that, Tsing Hui left the Chaos Temple. After leaving the Chaos Temple, Tsing Hui thought for a moment and quickly came up with a plan. If he used Xi Zichen's identity as a marquis of the true martial empire, it wouldn't be hard for the Crane Feather sect to back down. However, after some consideration, he still planned to use the identity of Yuqing Tsing Hui to test if there were others who had the same idea as Lord Huifan. Back then, he had once used the clear jade Qing Su to establish a relationship with Dong Yang, and most of the cultivators who had come with him from the divine wilderness world knew that Dong Yang was Qing Su, and Qing Su was Dong Yang. If someone really did betray him again, causing a peak world with a thought expert to target him, he would definitely attract the attention of those with ulterior motives if he used the identity of the clear jade Qing Su. Thinking of this, Tsing Hui used the 1 Qi into 3 purities art to split himself into 3. One of them stayed in the Marquis residence to deceive others, while his original body quickly left the true martial empire with the Yuqing clone and headed to the Tsangshuan continent through the transmission array. When he arrived at the Tsangshuan continent, he deliberately exposed himself and openly flew towards the Crane Feather sect. He had only flown for less than half an hour when a feeling of being targeted surged in his heart. As someone who cultivated the art of reversing the future, he was very sensitive to hidden dangers. Even if the other party was just hiding in the dark, they still couldn't avoid his spirit sense. After secretly operating the roaming spirit control technique, Tsing Hui soon locked his gaze on an expert of the divine true body stage. A chess piece, Tsing Hui sized up the expert of the divine true body stage in his Yuan spirit form, but didn't act rashly and alert the enemy. Killing a divine true body stage cultivator without baiting out the enemy behind him was not beneficial to the overall situation. Tsing Hui operated the immortal art of reversing the future, but the information he finally deduced was a little vague and full of variables. He could only vaguely judge that the final result was frightening but not dangerous. Even so, someone was always staring at him from behind, so he naturally didn't feel very happy. I'd like to see who you are. With a thought, Tsing Hui maintained a state of alert where he could activate the teleportation technique at any time and flew towards the Crane Feather sect at a moderate pace. 3 days later, the flying stone mountains where the Crane Feather sect was located appeared in his field of vision. However, when he arrived at the flying stone mountains, before he even had time to inquire about the Yun family, a patrol team of the flying stone mountains quickly came up to greet him. The divine true body stage expert in the lead bowed respectfully to him. Greetings, Mr. Yuqing. I am the deacon of the Crane Feather sect, Bei Chongyang. Oh. Tsing Hui was a little surprised that the person in front of him could recognize his identity. However, when he thought of the large purchases he made in the Yuan Chong Chamber of Commerce, he quickly understood and nodded. I am Yuqing. Mr. Yuqing has graced our Crane Feather sect with your presence. Your presence brings light to our humble dwelling. When we learned that Mr. Yuqing had arrived, our 3 elders, Bei Zhongzhen, Bei Zhongxian and Bei Lai Yang, specially ordered me to welcome you here. As Bei Chongyang spoke, he directly gestured with his hand, Mister, please come in. The elders have been waiting for a long time. Northern Branch, huh? The Crane Feather sect had 43 transversal realm experts, and the Northern Branch was the most powerful branch. There were a total of 6 transversal realm experts. The current sect master of the Crane Feather sect, Bei Zhongqi, was from the Northern Branch. The Bei Zhongzhen, Bei Zhongshuan, and Bei Liang that Bei Chongyang mentioned earlier were all famous transversal realm elders of the Northern Branch. Lead the way, Xing Hui said. He immediately followed Bei Chongyang into the Crane Feather sect without any obstructions. When they arrived at a mountain peak inside the Crane Feather sect, 3 reigning realm experts immediately came up to greet them. Although Yu Qing's cultivation level could not be seen due to his incarnation, the 3 reigning realm elders of the Crane Feather sect did not dare to be negligent. They hurriedly went up and said, "Not long ago, we heard that Mr. Yu Qing controlled the divine beast Kunpeng and showed great power, shocking everyone. We have been friends with Mr. Yu Qing for a long time. Today, we can finally see you in person. It is truly a blessing." Controlled the divine beast Kunpeng, Xing Hui immediately understood which battle these elders were referring to. He immediately smiled and said, "Just some small tricks, not worth mentioning." Since these elders were afraid of his identity, then some things could be easily solved. "Actually, I came to your sect today to look for a deacon of your sect. I have something to discuss with him. I wonder if you elders can ask that deacon to come out and meet me." "Deacon? May I know who Mr. Yu Qing is talking about?" "Yun Zhongshan." Yun Zhongshan. In the eyes of the Flying Fish Sword Saint, the Yun family could be considered a colossus with great influence. However, to Bei Zhongzhen, Bei Zhongshuan, Bei Liang and the other Zhonghu elders, it was not even worth mentioning. Hearing his words, the 3 of them relaxed at the same time. They smiled and said, "This is simple. It is his honor that Mr. Yu Qing is willing to meet him. I will bring him over. Let him bring a junior from his family called Yun Lian." Yun Lian. Bei Chongzhen was slightly startled, but then he smiled and said, "Could it be that Mr. Yu Qing has taken a fancy to this little girl from the Yun family? Then the Yun family is going to soar. I won't go so far as to make a move on a little girl, but one of my juniors is quite fond of her. I came here today to solve this matter for him." To be able to gain the favor of a junior from Mr. Yu Qing's family, that little girl from the Yun family is also a blessing. I will let Yun Zhongshan bring the little girl from his family to meet Mr. Yu Qing. Bei Chongzhen laughed loudly. Mr. Yu Qing in front of him was already mysterious and unfathomable. Especially since he could actually control the mythological beast Kunpeng, he could not be underestimated. It should be known that even the weakest 17th order Kunpeng mythological beast was often equivalent to 10 human powerhouses of the unhindered realm. Some of the best mythological beasts were even a headache for those who had stepped into the realm of world creation not long ago. For a mysterious expert who could control such a divine beast, it was reasonable for Bei Chongzhen and the others to try to curry favor with him. Especially, Fire Burning King had wanted to capture a junior named Dong Yang, but in the end, he had provoked Dragon Sparrow King, Black Dragon King, and Thunder Knight King, who were all at the Boundary Realm, to fight with him. In the end, Fire Burning King was killed. Although they did not know whether this matter had anything to do with Mr. Yu Qing, it was better for them to be careful and receive Mr. Yu Qing well. Elder Chongzhen, Elder Chongxian, Elder Liang. Soon, Yun Zhongshan came to the mountain under the guidance of a disciple. The one who came with Yun Zhongshan was the junior of the Yun family, Yun Lian, who had been specially warned by Xing Hui. Moreover, judging from Yun Lian's appearance, even though she was in a hurry on the way here, she had obviously deliberately dressed up and did her best to show off her pretty youthful face that was already pretty good. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.